What is up, comic fam? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. It's Sunday night. That means this is at Week's End, the spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics and more. But before we get into any of that, check this out. That's right. It's almost that time of year again for the second annual Comics Curing Cancer event, where we're going to do our best to cockslam cancer this year. And this all kicks off Friday morning at 7:30 a.m. right here on the Legion of Comics Community Hangout. Hope everybody can be there. There's going to be a long list of shows that are participating in this event from numerous content creators as well as numerous professionals in the industry, people in the comic community that have all come together to really contribute to this event. And there's going to be a huge auction where it all finishes off Sunday on Rob's Fat Sacks of Comics YouTube channel. So I hope as many people as possible can share the word out. Go check the Instagrams of all the people that are involved you saw in there. And you can also look in the description of all my videos starting today all the way through Comics Curing Cancer. We'll have all the information you can possibly need right down there in the description, all the way from the donation link to the list of channels participating, to a schedule, to a contact person with the American Cancer Society, because this is an officially recognized event. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, that's down there as well. And I hope everybody can help spread the word at the very least. You know, not everybody can donate. Not everybody has money to throw at stuff. And that's perfectly fine, because sharing this out to as many people as possible is more help than you can possibly know. So let's move on with tonight's show and go ahead and bring in the panel. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, the fuzzy face in the orange circle himself, Mr. New Guy. What is happening?
What is up?
Hey.
Hey, is this thing on?
It's definitely on.
Yeah. Excited to be here.
Excited that you're excited to be here. Let's keep this rolling. And we're going to bring in our good friend from the next sector over, Mr. Paul Cook.
I didn't know we're doing jazz hands at the beginning. Is that what we were doing?
We're doing this.
Okay. I do have one question. Is Henry Cavill going to appear during Comics Curing Cancer?
Just as much as he appears during Comic-Con.
Okay.
And D3.
It's confirmed to be unconfirmed.
But not nearly as much as he appears in Black Adam.
Okay.
And we got a surprise tonight. We have a very, very special visitor hailing all the way from the ice wall in the frozen tundra that is the Great White North. My heterosexual life partner is back. Hello.
Coming.
Wakanda forever.
I don't think we're allowed to do that. I don't know if you remember the She-Hulk show solidified that we're not allowed to do that. So
yeah.
I'm in a different country. I can do what I want. American laws mean nothing to me.
I don't think it has anything to do with laws.
Whoa. Coming from the country with that chancellor guy.
Who?
What's it? Prime Minister? Is that what they're called up there?
Let's talk about the trucking industry.
He's got a sordid history.
If you want to get into political leaders and a sordid history.
Oh man!
He put himself
in your own backyard first.
I was just going to go sit on the bench and just watch real quick.
He put himself in a timeout.
It's gonna be weird because I'm gonna be like throwing my own under the bus and then also like throwing his under the bus. And...
Everyone's going under the bus,
right? Yeah, it's gonna be like that scene in Speed.
I appreciate everybody joining in the chat tonight. We got Wheelchair Superhero 87 in here early. What is going on, Kyle? Paul Rogers, how are you doing tonight? I was looking at the panel like, where's Kyle? I was thinking promiscuous time travel. I don't know why. P.S. Hey, me. Hey, you. Ignacio, what is going on? Ignacio.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, huge congrats to Ignacio, who made his artwork made it into the published pages of Image Comics Duo Powerbomb issue number 5 this week. We'll definitely
he made the read of the week
that we may actually talk about.
Yeah, possibly the read of the year.
Yeah. We got Specs in the building. What is going on, brother? I'm glad to see you here. El Green Machine, the newest channel member, which reminds me, you need to message me on IG, buddy, so I can get you a new members welcome pack out. I need to know where to send it. It's going to be a crazy week for me shipping stuff out. So Beckerman is up in the building. Hey, you. How are you? Oh, wow. That escalated quickly. Yes, it did. And what? I don't know, buddy. Ask Mommy. They're watching the 1991 Swamp Thing cartoon, so I don't have a clue what that. This week's in topic are Canadian immune to cultural appropriation. Well, no one knows. Go watch it and find out. That's the only way to find out. Eli, what are you doing? How are you tonight? Spicy chat tonight. Yeah, it's always spicy. Cat Fan Comics Man is in the building. What is going on?
How you doing?
How y'all doing? You're still muted, Mark.
You're on mute, Mark.
I appreciate everyone being here. If you missed the opening of the show, the recap is in the description of my video. The C3 information, very important. Very important. Yeah, that. Very cool. So what are we talking about first? There's a lot to go over. A lot happened this week. So we'll start with Chris. What are we talking about tonight?
House of Dragon? How great is this show?
Ask Paul.
Paul, are you watching it?
I am, but I'm several episodes behind.
Oh, damn it, Paul! How the hell am I supposed to spoil the hell out of this show?
You go ahead. I enter in fully acknowledging that I may be spoiled. The thing may be spoiled. I'm one of the few that actually thinks that the Lord of the Rings show is actually, for me, is better than the House of Dragon show.
Not after last week. No, it just goes to show with some fantastic writing and even better actors, you don't need to CGI the hell out of your show to have it dominate the way that The Wire did 20 years ago. I think that this is, in my opinion, the best show that's been released this year. The actor who plays the king in this is phenomenal. The actor who plays the King's Hand, the original Hand, and now that he's returned as the Hand again, he was the kicker in that Keanu Reeves football movie, The Replacements. He's doing a fantastic job as well. I don't want to touch too much onto the story. I really don't want to spoil it for Paul. But my God, you can see how this is totally laying out the footprint, the map for the Dance of the Dragons. And for those of you that aren't aware of the history of Game of Thrones, it's the Dance of the Dragons that actually wipes out all the dragons, most of the Targaryen family, and countless other houses fall, into which then houses slowly start being built up after Aegon the Younger assumes the throne after the Dance of the Dragons civil war is complete. The 6-month queen, her time quickly ends on the throne as well. And then when younger Aegon passes away, it's actually a grandson of the king who is ruling right now becomes king for a long time. That eventually leads into the Mad King, which leads into the time of Game of Thrones that we're all aware of. Ned and Robert Baratheon, who lead that civil war. I believe he was on for about 40 years.
No, how long had he been gone when Game of Thrones started? Because he was already gone.
Less than 25 years. Because Robert sat on maybe even less. Maybe it was 10 to 15 years. Because Robert's children with his brother-in-law's children with his wife were not more than 18 years old. I believe Joffrey was the eldest at the time. Who eventually, again was a victim of, that blood that's a little too close. But yeah, I wholeheartedly, I will say when we do a recap at the end of the year, my favorite show of this year is House of the Dragon. Again, when you have fantastic story being written and even better actors, you don't need to CGI the hell out of your show to have it deliver, and it is fantastic.
I think I'm like 4 episodes in. I watched the episode had the first time jump. They didn't change actors. It was just getting like through the pregnancy years, basically. I watched that one, and then it's just been challenging to try to just with schedule and stuff to watch anything R-rated because It's hard to find time to do that. And
Yep.
it's hard, like, most of my viewing time is like early in the morning while everyone else is asleep. But shows like Andor, House of the
Mhm.
Dragon, I can't do those when I first wake up and my eyes
Right.
are crusty. Like, actually want to sit there and enjoy them and stuff.
And pay attention.
Mhm.
I'm really thinking that this season, because something major happened last Sunday, because the two of you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it. You can probably guess what it is. Happens. It's now the precursor to the Dance of the Dragons, which is the civil war that lasts for, I believe, 3 years in Westeros. This is about to get kickstarted. I'm presuming the season finale is either tonight or right around the corner. We're not going to see much of the Dance of the Dragons, where all the dragon riders and their dragons eventually fall. And then when it's Aegon the Younger that assumes the throne, he has the final, or pardon me, when the grandson assumes the throne, he has the final of the dragons all killed. And then we have no dragons in Westeros for the next 150 years till the mother dragons, Daenerys Targaryen, lays claim to the throne, and she hatches 3 dragons of her own. So yeah, it's really, really good. You don't have to watch, in my opinion, the first Game of Thrones series to jump into this one. If you can handle medieval storytelling and that type of thing, it's a good jumping on point.
I'm excited to get caught up on it one day. Paul, do you finish Rings of Power?
I did. The last episode, the final episode, I thought was just incredible. I know that one of the knocks on the show has been that it kind of drags things out. It's very much a slow burn, but I mean, when you have the creation of Mount Doom, you have Sauron, you have probably the first introduction of Gandalf. You have the 3 Elven rings that are created. When all that happens in the last episode, yeah, I mean, maybe they could have spread it out, but man, it was so good, especially the last episode.
Lady Fantastic was hanging out Friday morning and said that the final episode really crapped the bed with the lore. I don't know what she was referring to because I haven't watched it yet. But
Yeah, there is something. I mean, because in the story, in the appendices or whatever, the 16 rings are created before the 3 Elven rings. Here they've created the 3 Elven rings first. So in that, I know. Imagine that. What? Oh my God! Right?
What?
So I mean, it basically, I mean, there are certain things but that happens, whenever something is, even Peter Jackson, took some license in what he did in the movies. Not everything that he did, happened in the stories either. So,
Let
I'm
the
willing
major
to give
characters
people.
out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm willing to give people, they have to have artistic license. If they want to see, a word for word, action for action, translation, it basically, it's not going to happen. It's going to be really boring.
I don't know what that is, but I can speak Irish a little bit. Anyways,
can you give us an example?
Being
He
I
needs
can
a few
speak
drinks
even, I
first.
can even turn on a Newfie accent, but not here.
Not here.
Not here. Not tonight.
Not in front of tens of people.
Yeah.
What else happened this week? Did any of y'all watch the new Hellraiser movie?
No,
I did
I
not.
wasn't aware that it dropped. Was it a movie or a series?
No, it's a movie on
Okay.
Hulu. Dude, I've been asking everybody every stream I've been on since Friday, and no one's checked it out yet. It was really good. I mean, it's a Hellraiser movie, but it was done really, really well. It's not the next one in the series. It's not a remake. It's a reimagining. It hits all the right notes. It's not like a slasher horror movie. It's Hellraiser.
Mhm.
But it was
Does
wicked.
Clive Barker have his hand in this edition?
I don't know who put their hand in what.
Okay.
He does, yes. Yep.
Okay. I got to admit, as a kid growing up, when those movies first started hitting in the mid 80s, I could handle the Halloween, the psychological thriller that was A Nightmare on Elm Street, even Boogeyman. But Hellraiser was a different level of horror that freaked me out, man. I don't know if it was the religious aspect of it all, or the fact that both my parents they dabbled a little bit in their faith, and my father struggled with his faith or whatever. But Hellraiser was a little bit of a no-no around my house, and I can remember flipping through Weave World and those books, and just like, this is horrific.
Yeah.
Like what's happening to people, and this is horrific. This is true horror, in my opinion.
Creation of a Cenobite in this one as well. Like, you get to see somebody ascend, and you get to see the whole layout. And when you're talking about like the religious iconography of it all, like he's in like this white, he's just in white, this white space, and you see like this golden table thing that he's laying on, and he looks happy. And then the golden table like starts to move, where it comes up, it looks like wings, but what it's really doing is just pulling his arms out, and he's just all excited. Then all of a sudden his flesh just starts getting peeled up, and pins coming into him, and his mouth ripped open and stretched over his head. And like, oh my God, this is insane. It was wicked. It was cool. It deals in a lot of heavy topics. Like, your main character is dealing with addiction, and her brother, like, hyper controlling, is trying to keep her alive like the best he can, but that overbearing clash of personalities. And like, I don't know, man, it was good. I mean, it's not like some groundbreaking horror, but for what it was really, really done well. Definitely recommend it. Let's see, what else happened this week? The Rock pretty much dropped a bombshell on everybody and confirmed, in a couple of TV appearances, confirmed what we all already expected.
That he got the Leafs chant wrong in Toronto when he showed up.
That's Canada's fault. They should have changed the chant.
No, the team has been around for over 100 years.
No, it's not right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, wow.
Is that She-Hulk you're talking about? I wasn't talking about it. If anybody's looking for the best adult dating site,
we found it right here.
They got
all these tens of people.
Best is a strong word. Best is a very, very strong word.
So be a brainwashing word if you're not careful.
Yeah, if you don't live up to it, you can find yourself with a bunch of very unhappy viewers.
What is Mad Spidey's in for a quickie right behind it? So
best dating.
Did Spidey switch over his avatar?
Might have.
If you want to make me a moderator, I'll be happy to get rid of those.
Oh, they're fine, man.
Okay.
Those bots are going to help me get to 1,000.
If that just ran forever, it'd be a different thing. I don't mind at all. There should be some people that are modding that. Brian's a mod.
Oh.
But yeah, The Rock went on a bunch of talk shows. Pretty much the whole cast from Black Adam went on a bunch of talk shows, and The Rock did this awesome little one where he was talking about God, I can't remember who he was sitting down with, but he was talking about like it's been 15 years almost to the day since he first announced that he's going to play Black Adam. 15 years he's been fighting and pushing to get this movie made. He said that this is the movie that he feels will define his career, that he wants to be the film that defines his career, that he just feels that invested in this project personally. And he also talked about how, and for far too long now, the most powerful character in the entire universe has been sidelined. And he said, I saw Chris, I got goosebumps, man. He said, for far too long, he's been sidelined. Myself, 7-something, which I think is a studio or the agency, and he named 2 other people. He said, we have been fighting, and we refused to take no for an answer if this was going to work. And come the end of the movie, we get to welcome him home. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm not going to believe it until I see it.
Like, I like slightly tear up. Like, dude, let's just goosebumps all the way down my body.
Like before Paul joined the panel, the 3 of us have been talking about this forever. Like, I feel like since my first appearance on the Sunday night show.
Yeah, we talked about Superman and Captain America needing to be handled right and forefronting their companies almost.
Yeah. Right now, Sentinel of Liberty, if you're not reading Sentinel of Liberty, it's actually a very good Steve Rogers driven story. And Superman, actually, for the better part of a year, has been handled very, very well. and
Real
Action
quick.
Comics is.
And
Yep.
P.S. We're going to actually talk that right after this because Chris
Mhm.
is here and it leads right into what me and Chris are definitely going to talk about before.
Yeah, but the one thing we've always said is Henry Cavill needs to return as Superman for the DCEU.
Mhm.
You can have all these standalone films, but if these films in any way, shape, or form are going to be connected, you have to have the Man of Steel. There's just no getting around it. It's like the MCU realized you can't have all these movies connected without the franchise. In the end, if you have the opportunity to do it, you have to pull the trigger. Feige did it, pulled the trigger, and now we have a Spider-Man most people respect.
We also
But
have Morbius thinks.
Right. But the one thing that almost every comic book reader can say is that Henry Cavill is a fantastic Superman.
Yes.
And DC for the last little while has dropped the ball. They've had Superman show up in Shazam, missing a head.
That's something I kind of want to touch on. So, like,
But I'm
all these
starting to wonder though if maybe that was on purpose. Maybe what they did, maybe part of the Rock's thing was, I want to bring back Superman, but I get to bring back his face first.
Maybe.
Right?
I really
because
think that
him not showing his face in Shazam is because they couldn't get Cavill to come back.
That's
so
right.
all this stuff has been coming out after the fact. Warner Brothers had the contract with Henry Cavill to do a sequel and appearances as cameos.
Mhm.
They were not honoring their end of the contract and bringing the sequel up because they wanted Cavill gone. They wanted Superman gone, and they got very straightforward with it toward the end of their run here, where they were wanting to replace Superman with Supergirl, where they were wanting to replace Batman with Batgirl. They wanted them gone. They were going on this extremely doing what Marvel's doing now. We're going to bring all the women characters up and let them take the lead and blah, blah, blah. And Cavill would not come in for these cameos. They're like, I don't have to honor my agreement because y'all are not honoring it. I'm not going to get jerked around, and I have a career I'm looking after. And he's been doing The Witcher, and he did Mission Impossible Fallout. Like, he continues his career, and he's not going to just be a toy for the old guard at Warner Brothers. Well, here we are. David Zaslav comes in and says, y'all are crazy what you're doing. To hell with all of that. This is DC Comics. The foundation of this company is Superman. I am about to bring Superman back. So you have the guy in there with the vision that wants to do it. And then really, how is he supposed to do it without the financial means to do it? Well, you have The Rock, who shares agents with Henry Cavill, who's his number one supporter when it comes to this. Behind the scenes, The Rock, who is the highest paid, most influential actor in Hollywood, whether you agree with that being the case or not, that's the fact to it, who wants Henry Cavill there. You actually have a guy with creative control and the juice to actually listen to the fans and bring that forward. He hears everyone screaming for Superman. He knows Cavill wants to come back. So he pushed along with his agents, and they just made the perfect storm. I don't know what they did or how they did it, but they got them to agree to immediately start Superman Man of Steel 2. Like that is actively being worked on for Henry to come back. Like someone is sitting down, writing a script or whatever it takes to call it started. That is in the process, and he's coming back for a cameo in this. He's supposed to be cameoing in The Flash alongside Batman. Like that's supposed to have pretty much the whole JLA in it. And they're no longer replacing him with Supergirl. They're going to be flying side by side. They're just going to bring Supergirl in like you should, not replace somebody. And you have Wonder Woman now appearing in Fury of the Gods, Batman and Aquaman. They're going hard now. They're bringing all of our JLAers back, and they're keeping them as the foundation. Like couldn't be more excited.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But that,
again, when I see it, then I'll believe it. It's kind of
imagine the kind of pool this man has.
It kind of like the whole like Andrew Garfield returning to play Spider-Man. We all know that Sony jerked him around or whatever, contractually dropped him, the whole 9 yards. Pardon me. So when Andrew Garfield first showed up in the most recent Spider-Man movie, it was one of those moments for me. Like, yes, I know everyone was sentimental about Tobey Maguire. God bless him. But for me, Andrew Garfield got the big screw job. And so I was very happy to see him return. And this is almost the exact same thing.
And he had
Almost.
the best scene in the movie where
best
he saved
scene in the
MJ.
movie.
Where he
Hell
saved.
yes. Dude, I screamed. I put my hands up with tears running down my face.
Yeah.
And then are you okay? I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. That was the moment of the movie. Yeah.
Yep.
It was nuts.
And the whole pulling punches scene too, like all three of them worked incredibly well together. I don't want to make it about Spider-Man right now, anyways, but yeah,
But it's a great comparison. It really is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
John's Comics with Kids, another person who is involved heavily with Comics Curing Cancer, who'll be rocking this coming Saturday with a special Comics Curing Cancer episode. You can find John's information in the description below. I'm going to be plugging the hell out of this all week long, so y'all just get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even hear it.
All right,
well, we're talking about DC. Let's talk about Ultimate.
Yeah, let's back up here. So this was huge news, especially for people like myself, Ryan, Paul. I don't know if you subscribe to DC Universe. You do the digital.
I just buy the floppies.
I do too, but I don't with everything, and even the stuff that I really do a lot of backlog reading on the DC app. That's what I found it most useful for. Not anymore though, because what they did was they created a new membership tier where it's was it $25 more than the previous one? The previous annual subscription was $75 a year. Now they give you this option. That one's still there. They give you this option for $100 tier. So typically books hit the shelves. They sit there for 6 months, give or take. There are some exceptions. And then they get moved over to this app where you can read them. You can read tens and tens of thousands of books from years past, all the way back to the Golden Age even. And you can keep up with your new stuff about 4 to 6 months old. But with the Ultra tier membership, 1 month after release, they are now on that app. It's pretty badass. And on top of that, if you get an Ultra tier membership, you get an annual physical gift from DC Comics, which they're kicking it off with. This first one is the 30-year anniversary of Death of Superman special that's coming out, but with an exclusive DC Universe app cover, which is from Ivan Reis, the phenomenal Ivan Reis that if you follow this channel, you know I follow him from title to title. Like a great artist. He actually did the Superman run for a pretty good while, so it's pretty cool that he got a cover, and it's him fighting Doomsday on it. And that's an overpriced book as is, and that's an exclusive, so that covers the cost difference alone. And I will tell y'all, I did read this right here. I've been promising Chris that when it hits the app, I'll read it. I read issue 1 on the app, and then I didn't think about it after a while. Well, I updated to Ultra. That very day, I read 12 issues of DC versus Vampires and covered over 60% of my annual cost in one night's worth of reading.
And?
Oh, man, it was a blast. It was a blast. Yeah, All Out War is trash, but the rest of it has been awesome.
Yeah, the tie-in stuff is so much better.
Well, I don't even
forget
think
too,
it's the writing.
With DC Ultra too, is they're also expanding the library to have Black Label and Vertigo and all of those things too. So you get a much bigger library than you had before too.
And
so
updating 10,000 back issue stuff. Yes, Sandman's on there. Constantine stuff is on there. The Vertigo stuff, like there's not like the Unknown Soldier from the early 2000s is not on there. I know that's random, but Pops just got done reading that like 20, 30 something issue run kind of thing. And I just happened to just be on the app and checked if it was there. It's not there, but they did say that the app is going to be, they're uploading all this stuff, doing the expansion to it all the way through mid-November. So what you see on there now is not all that is going to be offered. It's still rolling out. Death by 1,000 Cuts for the local comic shop. Happy for people that love reading old stuff digitally. I still buy trade paperback. I know this isn't going to be everybody, but I still buy stuff. Like I bought 2 trade paperbacks 2 weeks ago, brand new off the shelf. And their DC sent out this email blast to the LCSs talking about it. They had like some commonly asked questions and their answers. And they said pretty much like when it comes to new comic books, people typically buy them within the first week or two, and for certain before the first 30 days. So they're not expecting this to really damage any LCS new comic book day sales. As far as the old stuff goes, there's stuff on there you don't find at shops. Just being straightforward with you there, Chris. There's like over 30,000 titles on there. There's stuff that you can find at old shops. There's stuff that's just not collected like that. There's like full runs. Like I'm probably just random reading like 4 or 5 different runs. One of them being like Ostrander Spectre run, which you can find, but good luck finding the whole run collected here or there kind of thing. You can find back issues here or there, but
Yeah, for me, it's all like back issues and the physical copy you get, annual reward. I mean, not that there isn't like modern stuff that I'm reading. Like I'm reading Catwoman from 2018 right now, But ultimately, like kind of like you were saying, like that month-old stuff is like in this weird window where like maybe your casual readers will fall off from going to their LCS, but more than likely, even those people are picking up trades. But for most of us, like waiting a month to read a comic book is literally like out of date, Like
Yeah, it's not. That's
not going to change people's opinions there. And like the $99 tier, that's basically people that are already giving money to your company regardless,
It's
like,
annually, correct?
yeah.
Okay.
But with the regular service, it's $75 a year, or you can pay like $7 or $8 a month, I think it is.
think
Whereas
$7.
this is $99 for the year with no monthly subscription option. So this is definitely for the hardcore and the dedicated people that want that book, that want to be a part of something special, and are already giving your company money in numerous different ways. If nothing else, I think the only gap it's bridging for people like us is those books and those characters and stuff that we don't really keep up necessarily, but like we still kind of want to know what's going on in the universe overall. We're like, I'll read that in a month, and that'll be fine. But I mean, that's probably like 2 or 3 books for each of us, really.
Yeah, I would have never read DC versus Vampires. Like y'all all know how like when I try to read something that's new that I'm behind on, like I just don't catch up to it because of whatever reason. But because this gave me all of it that's available right then and there, I could sit down. I stayed up on kind of late one night. I was off the next day and just read it all. Like I do probably about once every 2 or 3 weeks. I'm able to just sit down and read an entire trade paperback or something. I just had that opportunity, and I did it with the app. And so that's not something I would have ever picked up from the store because I did it from the beginning. And we talked about it when it came out. I was kind of just jaded by Tynan at the time. You know what I mean? But I've been happily keeping up with it vicariously through Chris, but his work schedule has really dampened me being able to keep up with it. But I did hold up my end of the bargain. It became available. I told Chris I'd read it, and I read it. But this son of a bitch still hasn't read Immortal.
From like 35 or 37 on. But yeah, it was Nightwing all along. Like, but anyway,
yeah, that was a cool twist.
Yeah,
like I even though I knew it, like it was perplexing.
It's still one of those aha moments, right?
So yeah, I knew it was Nightwing, but yet like Batman put him through all those trials and tests. You know what I'm saying? Like I wonder. So it became interesting. I wonder how they're going to play this out, or I wonder if he's been infected yet. I wonder. There are still questions, even knowing that Nightwing was the Vampire King. It did not take away from how dynamic that reveal was, because you still don't see it coming in that moment. Yeah. And it was just wicked. Just all of a sudden, he's got his arm through him, holding his heart. I'm like, what? Yeah. And then they're like, Bruce. I'm like, dude, he's gone. His heart's not in his body. Why are y'all talking to him?
Batman is no more. Superman is insignificant. What a story it's telling. But yeah, for me, if I were to sign up for this, the first thing I would do, boys, everyone that's watching, I would go back and right from the issue where Alan Moore took over in Swamp Thing, I would read all of it right till the very end, because in my opinion, that is some of the best storytelling that's ever been told. That Swamp Thing run, it was so far ahead of its time with environmentalism and taking care of the planet, and the whole idea, what if nature actually spoke up, what would it say to the human race? And all of it is in there. And besides all of that, we got one of the best DC characters ever created in John Constantine in the middle of that run as well.
That's probably like the weakest aspect of that run, like how like philosophical it gets with the concept of existence, really.
Anatomy Lesson is one of the premier issues in all of DC Comics.
Yeah, I read all of that you were just describing last Christmas, over Christmas break, in fact. Yeah. And like it gets so weird. Like the third volume of Saga of the Swamp Thing, like it's so weird, man. But yeah, it's good stuff. And those first 2 volumes stand up, like they're so solid. But yeah, that third one, it starts to get a little bit out there.
That's Alan Moore being Alan Moore.
Yeah, like you can tell when the reins come off,
Yeah, when he has a little bit too much freedom.
Yeah, like what if they meet the Smurfs? How would that be?
Yeah, I would definitely be interested, because it's something I'm going to be keeping up with I'm talking to Chris's comment here with the benefit with the out of print stuff, but I'm going to be kind of asking, keeping up with it, like from Paul's perspective at my LCS. I'd be interested to see how this, if it does really affect your store, because I'm not a shop owner, obviously, but I really do feel like it's kind of like what Ryan said. These are the people that are willing to buy into this, or the people that are already doing other stuff. I still have a massive pull list. I still buy physical and digital stuff for DC to support the hell out of them. I order stuff off their merch store. Those are the kind of people that are the ones willing to fork up that money.
It's such a tough call. It
really is.
My gut thinks that it's okay. This is for people who dabble in comics. Okay, I got $100 bill. I'm going to throw it towards this for a year, and now and then I'm going to read a comic book. These aren't necessarily people that make that Tuesday or Wednesday drive every week or every other week to their LCS. I don't necessarily feel that it's that way, because if you're going to your LCS, most of us pick up the three. We pick up the Marvel, the DC, and the Indies, right? Mm-hmm. Most of us. And the Indies definitely don't have anything to do with like what DC just did. Marvel Unlimited is not even the same realm when it comes to that kind of thing. Right now, it's just DC that's up their game that way. And I still think like I'm going, like if I were to subscribe to this, I'm for the DC books that I pick up on the regular, I'm not going to drop them from my pull list because I'm going to want to read it right away, because I'm so deep into the comic book community. I don't want to be spoiled. And especially with the DC books that I love.
It really is.
4 weeks of me avoiding certain channels, certain things on YouTube, certain things on
might as well not even read
on
it.
Instagram. It's no. If I were to dive into the $99 a year subscription, I'm going after those older books that those stories that I've heard so many things about. The beginning of Ra's al Ghul and the Batman line. I've never read that. I know what the covers are. I know all about it. I know Neil Adams, the Danny O'Neill stuff. I would love to dive into the Green Lantern and Green Arrow run by those two creators. I've never picked up one of those books and read them. I would love to dive into it. That's if I were to invest my money in it. That's what I would be going after. It's not the new stuff, because the new stuff is too important to me. I am going to my LCS to support them.
You have the opposite effect as well. I'm sure that there's going to be stuff that people are able to discover on there, because it's overwhelming, to be honest with you. Like when you're like, oh, let me sit down to read something. It is overwhelming, the amount of content that's on it and the way that it's laid out. It's like channel surfing. Like you're like, this looks good, but then you see the next thing sitting there, like, oh snap, because they have it sectioned in storylines. They have it formatted in so many different ways where you can discover it just by the title, by the creator, by these storylines, by these events, and they'll have every tie-in laid in there for you and all this. So like you have a hard time clicking on one, because you're investing weeks when you click on one. You're like, oh, but Animal Man from New 52 looks fire right now, like, and that's what you do. But there's going to be, I know for me at least, there's been stuff I'm like, dude, I just need to go, like I've seen it on there. I'm like, I just need to go get the trade for that, because I still prefer reading paper.
Yes.
So it's almost like there's an aspect of it that's advertisement. Just because it's there in front of you and it's available for me on digital doesn't mean I'm not like peeking at the shop at their trade section. I wonder if that's sitting in here, because I'd still rather just have the physical, sit down and read it in my chair under the light. That's just what I'm accustomed to. So hopefully it has that little back and forth effect,
Yeah, and honestly, for me, like one of the biggest selling points that I feel like they never throw out there, I think part of the reason is I think it's actually free. You can just sign up, but like the community aspect of it is absolutely stellar. So I do hope they kind of expand that with Ultra, and that's part of the exclusive stuff that they're giving, is maybe like some extra stuff within the community and things like that. But one, it's a huge resource. Like any DC related question you have, you will find in there. But two, like all the people are generally pretty positive, like surely it can come off as a bit of a circle jerk, but it's people that are fans of DC and those characters. And so whenever you do have questions or issues, or you just want to talk about like something that's going on in DC Comics, like it's the best place to talk about it, because if you go on Twitter or even like Instagram or Facebook or something, like there's so much negativity around comics in general that you're like, oh, this thing about DC, and it's just like all you're gonna get is a bunch of hate responses, you know. But if you go into the community and talk about it, like the people there are just like straight awesome. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah, and I also think too is, I mean, I'm like everybody that's been talking is, you know, I mean, I definitely give my fair share of money to my local comic shop every single week, but I also have a huge amount of back issues as well. But there also is some convenience that goes with that too. You know, I can actually, you know, if I want to go and I want to put, you know, the All Star comics, you know, that from the '70s that I own, but are in a box somewhere, you know, 1,500 miles away in a in a storage unit, you know, I can put them in instead in my, you know, DC Universe Ultra, and I can just, you know, read them that way instead. So, you know, the convenience is also, I think, a huge part of it as well, especially for people, you know, who maybe have a huge back issue collection already, you know, not having to dig through to try to find that comic. You know, it's right there.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm excited for Chris to get his subscription
Right.
before it's too late to get the
November 28th.
Yeah, before you can't get that exclusive offering with it.
Hmm.
I'm already excited to wonder what the next one will be, what they do next.
Right.
Real quick,
That was 45 minutes.
let's do the official She-Hulk review. Chris, hit him for me.
Mark is gonna go right about Roaringe, right about
There it
here.
is. And that is your official She-Hulk review. All right, y'all want to talk new comics?
Yes, please.
Are you just talking about the overall series or just the episode?
You pick.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
I'd say that they stole the, for those of you that haven't read DC or Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, they stole the whole premise from it. Anyways, 1.5 Maple Leafs out of 5.
Ryan, do you want to give it a rating real quick? Ryan hasn't seen it, but Ryan, how many 10-gallon Texas hats would you give that show?
She-Hulk? Oh, man. Can it even hold 10 gallons?
So not even one 10-gallon Texas hat from Ryan. He hadn't even seen it. Good God. What is that?
What's a gallon?
I would give it 2 rings out of 10.
There you go.
2 rings out of 10.
Perfect.
Hey. Elvish rings or no? Okay.
Are these Kyle Rayner rings, or are they Guy Gardner rings?
Yeah, you guys got to read Green Lantern. If you read Green Lantern, Chris, you would know what I'm talking about.
I've read Green Lantern. I've read
Well,
Darkest Night.
it's that when Parallax was rolling in, you know, when he took out the core and he had all the rings on his hand on that iconic cover. Let's see. Shattered Glass Comic Reviews says, I heard the finale was supposed to be an FU to the Marvel haters from the writers. I always thought writing something good was an FU to haters, but was I wrong? Yeah, you are not wrong. Those writers are just that sorry.
That's not really a review. That's just his personal opinion.
Yeah. Oh my God. For those that don't know, that ridiculous ISOM comment section on that video I posted is still going, and somebody left a comment right before we went live that I shared with them, where they said that my review wasn't a review, it was a personal opinion. It's a pet peeve when someone gets those things crossed. It was the most ridiculous comment I read on that. Like it's won the new comment. It's been a fun thread that has. That stupid video is still going. It's almost at 7,000 views. If it hadn't already passed it, it's ridiculous. Some good conversation in there. There's some wild stuff in there. What do y'all want to talk about first? You want to let's hit it?
Yeah,
let's go.
We were talking Superman.
I gave it up.
We'll go. Well, real quick, timeout. No one lynch him yet. This is part 2 of the return of Kal-El. So you're getting action, right?
Yes.
So this is the next, like they're crisscrossing from action to this until 1050. So you just have You have two or three issues of this left. That's just part of one storyline. So you might want
Then
to.
the mini series, I know.
What I'm
And
saying,
you
you might
can't
want
even
to.
read it in a month because you won't subscribe. So like, what
Well,
are you
I'm
gonna
about
do,
to find
Chris?
out right now.
Yeah, you're gonna want to pick these up because this thing slapped. Paul, what did you think of
This
this one?
this was amazing. I absolutely loved this. The story that Tom Taylor is told in this issue, it has the big fight scene. I was talking to Mark earlier, and it was like Tom Taylor is able to write these world building and huge scenes, but he also, especially in this issue, he can write small, intimate, very important scenes. There is the issue opens up with a flashback to Clark teaching his son how to control his super hearing, and he tells him basically, what you need to do is focus on something, and that can help you. And so, when he pulls him into him, and he hears his father's heartbeat, and so he focuses on his heartbeat to calm himself and kind of block everything else out. Then he ends up fighting the Ultra Humanite for different reasons and everything. And as that battle ends, he then all of a sudden hears a very familiar sound and flies off. And it is his father coming back because he heard his father's heartbeat coming back from Warworld.
Dude.
And it just gets you right in the feels. It just really does.
Yeah, so
And so,
the pacing helped with that scene.
yeah,
Like you have that flashback where he falls in the field, just overwhelmed, and his dad rushes out there to help him. So he's like frantic when his dad embraces him, and he just has his head on his dad's chest, listening to that thump thump, thump thump. And then you get into the book, and it's him just working, him being Superman, saving people here, saving people there. There's this LexCorp item that was stolen from somewhere, so he goes to address Lex, and they have this pretty decent conversation. And then he goes to Stryker's Island where an explosion happened and finds out that the explosion was meant to free Metallo, who was teased in Action Comics, but the Ultra Humanite is running wild, fighting the Ultra Humanite. As soon as he gets him subdued, the Ultra Humanite starts a monologue, and that's when you hear thump thump, and John's eyes light up, and he just darts. And you get these great panels because you get him flying, and then you get him flying. Then you get him flying with like a sonic boom behind him. He's moving so fast. And you turn the page and it says, boom. And it's him colliding with his father for the first time since he left, just embracing each other. And you're just like, oh my God. And then he's like, Dad, I tried to find you. He's like, I know. He's like, I wanted to come search the farthest ends of the universe, but I couldn't leave the earth alone. He's like, I know. He's like, and it's like, oh my God. And the whole time you see the thump thump, thump thump through it all. Man, my God.
Yeah.
This whole series was worth that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as soon as I realized, like, whenever you get that thump thump and then you see him just like take off, like, I was like, all right, this is it. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. Watching my like reviews and I guess like preview videos, that's what I've been talking about is like with him returning, like I'm ready to see him and John like reunite, and so finally after what Action Comics gave us, what was it, last week or the week before, I realized like, okay, this is going to be the issue where we get that reunion. And so like to go into it and still, basically knowing what we're about to get, still enjoying that moment was, that's something special. Like a lot of creators, a lot of writers can't really pull that off. And Tom Taylor always does an amazing job with the small moments.
Do you remember that Nightwing issue, Chris, where John was trying to save that kid from blowing up in his arms right in front of him and he couldn't? And just that feeling of loss and failure, just how heavy that was. Mm-hmm. Think of like that level of commitment and just delivery of emotion, but flipped around to this moment. Like it just landed, dude. Absolutely landed, which is impressive because like Paul said, he can do these great world building books that are just expansive and nonstop, like the Deceased line, like he did with Earth 2. And then he can do these books like Nightwing and Son of Kal-El, where it's just a different style of book. It's not rushed. It like can feel drawn out. And I've talked about it, this one really has, but it still manages to find these moments in between. This one was just nonstop. This issue from cover to cover was nonstop, whether he was saving someone, like Battle of Wits with Lex Luthor, which was phenomenal, little back and forth. But man, that moment, that that whole page splash with him and his dad holding each other, and like the way that their facial expressions are drawn, it hit every single note it possibly could have.
I think it also gives some perspective on John Kent's character over the last 16 issues, really, because like we understand he's been missing his father, but this issue really explains like his center, like the very thing that keeps him calm and sane, the thing that drowns out the entire rest of the world is that heartbeat, and it was gone, and so he's just been like inundated with all of this noise and everything, like he lost his entire center of focus for all of these issues. And so to see who he's been, without that, it really gives like more perspective on him as a character as he's kind of growing up and looking for his own relationships and building his own connections in the world.
Yeah, and he also there was also another scene that Mark and I talked about too, where he goes to visit Lex Luthor, and Tom Taylor I think really has the voice of Lex Luthor too. The loathing that Lex has for the Kent family. He basically, John Kent comes into his office, flies into his office, and basically Lex Luthor says, your father just hovers outside and says nasty things to me, kind of, whereas he actually went into the office.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great interaction as well. Just like seeing that classic character. I mean, that's what I feel like people miss too, is like Superman, like Clark Kent did not have a North Star, like he wasn't filling in somebody else's shoes. There was no Superman before him to like set the path. But John is like having to learn how to be something that already exists, and that's a much different experience. And then to like have to deal with your father's supervillain that has all this experience over you, like I feel like that's what people miss in John Kent a lot of times, is like he's not just another Superman. He's having a completely different experience of becoming a Superman,
Mm-hmm. It was amazing. I'm looking forward already to the next chapter because there is a connective story that's going on here. We know that Metallo has been tapped to be a villain for this. He was visited by Lex. We know that Lex is bouncing back to War World. They're looking for that power source. Lex actually popped over there and got it. We know that this case that got stolen was not stolen by Lex. We don't really know who that was at the end, do we? They kind of just tease like, "Oh, I've got it," kind of thing. So it looks like there's a couple of villainous plot points being built. Metallo is grotesque. I like this new little take on him. He looks like he's almost broken down and defunct, but he's definitely, we know he's going to be very menacing. They're going to get this power source into him, no doubt. No doubt. We're going to have a juiced up Metallo. We just saw what they did differently with Mongol to make him actually a danger again, being a character that's been defeated so many times over the years. So I'm excited to see the angle they're going to take with Metallo while we play this story out on our trek to 1050. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Highly, highly suggest this series for anybody out there. Chris, show them where this series ranks.
Son of Kal-El?
Superman at DC in general right now, because it's just one thing. It's up there. It is super great. Because this is one story running. It's just running over two titles, like it has so many times in the past. Batman, Detective, Superman, Action. Right now, the titles are just one and the same. Chris, what's one that you read this week, my man?
Let's go from one franchise to another.
Let's do it. Dude, I love that cover. Hold on. I really do. Who did that?
Well, JR.
Oh, that's why I love it, I guess. He's
Talk
just holding
about
the
loyalty.
mask.
Good
That's
Lord.
just the mask, right?
Yeah, it's just holding hands.
There's not a head in it. You know what I'm saying? It looks.
No.
I actually did read that, but I got the Miracle Man cover.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that I like that Zeb Wells is doing with Peter Parker is that with issue 1 they started him way off and way down and out, almost had no memory of the last 6 months, doesn't really know where he is, what's going on, and that all has to do with the UFO radiation poisoning that he went through, and then eventually led to the new volume being kicked off. Over the last couple issues, Peter's starting to become Peter again. Spider-Man's starting to become Spider-Man again. In this particular issue, we got to see who the new Hobgoblin is, and Kill Surprise, it's Mary Jane's husband, Ned Leeds. And well, that's
Wait,
what the camping is.
she's married to Ned? That's who. What? All right, real quick, because I read the first issue, right? And when they show you that Mary Jane's got like these kids, and there was some dude, but the dude's name wasn't Ned, was it?
Is it not Ned?
I don't know.
You read it.
Yeah.
I thought his name was don't take this the right way, all you Pauls, but I thought his name was like Paul or something. That's Chrissy Chaos.
The 311th Hobgoblin.
Yep. So, anyways, where I was going with it is, so MJ's moved on. The only one that hasn't moved on is Peter, and the second part of the story here, or pardon me, maybe the third act, is Peter cuts out of work early, and he works at Oscorp, if you're not aware, and he actually works with Kamala Khan, and Kamala Khan and Peter work side by side, but neither of them know their outside identities. So it's interesting to watch the two of them work hand in hand while trying to lead this other life. Either way, Peter cuts out of work early. Kamala doesn't really like it, and where we find out where Peter goes is to hang out with Black Cat. So we got a couple issues of the interaction of them, and she's like, "Are we here to break into a vault?" And Peter's like, "We don't do that." And she's like, "Do we have to break into a vault for good reasons?" And Peter's like, "We don't do that kind of thing." And it goes back and forth. It's fun to witness. And in the end, Peter asked her out on a date. And I thought that was a little heartwarming because, again, Zeb Wells has been building Peter back up from nothing. This is totally different from the next Spencer run and incredibly different from what we had with Dan Slott, who is all about tearing Peter apart. Here we have a writer actually building Peter back up to a man and getting that self-confidence that has not been there, especially in that last volume and into the trickle-down effect at the beginning of this volume. And Felicia's response when he asked her out on a date is maybe.
Right.
And to which his response is like, "But you ask me out all the time." And she says, "Yeah, but now you ask me out." And it was very cool to witness. And the whole part of it that gave me that, "Oh, this is great" moment was Peter stops and he says to himself, "Oh my God, that actually worked. I thought I was going to throw up. My whole body is shaking like Jello. How is this so hard? I better walk home." And there he is in full suit as he's saying this, dealing with that internal struggle of asking someone that you like out on a date. And that's why at most times Peter Parker is, someone that is relatable. And over the last while, the reason why I wanted to come on this show tonight for sure is to say that Peter Parker has not been relatable at all. And the reason that Spider-Man was so special to me is because growing up and into my 20s and my 30s and now my 40s, when I dabbled in comic books, Peter was always relatable until Dan Slott and then Nick Spencer got their hands on the character and totally rearranged that whole ideal. And Zeb Wells has slowly been bringing that back. So when this happened, I thought it was very, very cool to see. Where it goes from here, we'll see. And then it just transitions back into Peter at work, talking to Norman Osborn, wanting to know what was going on with the whole idea of Roderick versus Ned and what's going on with the idea of the Hobgoblin. And basically, why is Harry working with Roderick when we all know who Roderick is? He was the second Green Goblin, or pardon me, Hobgoblin. And then basically Norman says, "Well, let's talk about it. I'll talk to you privately outside of work Thursday night down at the docks," setting up, okay, we're going to have Hobgoblin versus Spider-Man, and Norman's going to be there. Anyways, Wednesday actually happens, and Roderick and Norman Osborn meet down at the docks, and who shows up? Well, it's the Hobgoblin. And the Hobgoblin has been written by Zeb Wells, is incredibly menacing. He's flying through people, cutting people in half with the glider. Everything that you would want the Hobgoblin to be is in this particular issue, at least at the tail end of it. And at the end, while all this is happening, it flashes back to MJ's apartment where MJ is overlooking her youngest child and someone says that they've knocked her out and everything is going to be okay, making it seem like the Hobgoblin has drugged MJ so he can go on the prowl. So the ironic part of it all for MJ's life is she gave up on Peter because she did not want that stress of Peter being Spider-Man. Well, it's now come full circle. The person that she's married to is looking like he is now the Hobgoblin, which can be way more of a stress than Spider-Man ever could be. Paul, what did you think of it, man?
Yeah, I really like it. I agree with you about Zeb Wells. I actually thought his last issue was his best issue, the one with Gwen Stacy. That was just incredible. That hits you in the feels too if you're a Spider-Man fan. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they're working to make him a better person as opposed to they're constructing him as opposed to deconstructing him.
Yeah, it's this particular volume, this particular newest arc, or the tail end of the last arc going into this new arc, is a Spider-Man that I've been preaching about for the better part of 2 years. Like, it's just been, outside of that what if title, it's been bad writing when it comes to Peter Parker. Interesting writing for Spider-Man, bad writing for Peter Parker. And Superman's finally found his way, has got himself a good writer, or writers. Captain America with the Sentinel of Liberty is looking like we have a good Steve Rogers story. Hopefully this carries on and we see the building back up of Peter Parker. At least at this point, we see his confidence being built back up. I want to be able to see it where he's not being, defeated by a left and a right and a left by someone like Tombstone taking out Spider-Man. I want to be able to, Spider-Man is not necessarily street level. So I want to be able to see him handle himself no problem with those lesser villains.
Chaos, it's just this issue he's referring to.
The last couple issues have been very, very good. I did not like the beginning of the volume, I'll be honest. Issue 1, I came out here on this channel and said, I don't really like it. I get that we have a brand new writer who had a tail end of the last volume in trying to construct what was happening here. I see that we had the return of a famous artist in JRGR returning to this. I didn't get caught up in that hype. However, since I think issue 8, 9, 10, and now 11 have been good, Paul's right. Issue 10 has probably been the strongest one so far. But this is the one where you actually have a little bit more of Peter stepping up and realizing that he's solo. But hey, man, it's okay to ask someone out and even if they say no, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, last issue, watching J. Jonah Jameson call everybody he knows to apologize. It's
yeah.
Aggressively says there was a funny Wolverine banter about Spidey's Hellfire Gala outfit, and then MJ shooting him down again after they stopped the mind control. Not reading it, I have no clue what they're talking about. I just read issue 1, and that makes me wonder: did they ever explain what happened? Like when issue 1 started, there was something that happened in the not too distant past that Peter did that was terrible.
They haven't gotten into it yet. They tease it that little bit of time where Peter still is still blacked out on those few months. Still don't know if this is necessarily 616, right, Paul? It's murky. It's murky. That's the slow.
I was wondering why they allow Norman Osborn to run a corporation at this point.
Right. And that Peter works at it. And yeah, I kind of think that this is either Peter's still in the coma and we're seeing what went through his mind, or he's not necessarily in 616 and doesn't realize it.
That'd be a cool direction to take if he's still knocked out from the battle with the UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, which one you got next?
Y'all ready to go do a power bomb?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's
do a power bomb.
To do this one, then I'm going to take off, boys.
Yes.
Still story of the year for you guys?
Absolutely. I gotta say, I don't even remember what Mark was talking about now, but when he was referring to kind of already knowing what's going to happen, what the reveal is, but it's still, the moment still hits,
Oh yeah, yeah. The way they do the backstory with the opponents and everything, and change up your whole perspective going into the fight.
Yeah, well, but we kind of already knew what the big secret that was revealed in this one at the end there. But like that moment still hits because that is not at all how I expected that to play out and come to light, you know? So this issue, like, it blew me away that after all the other issues have revealed something that we didn't know, this one revealed something that we did know, but yet it still hit just as hard as all of those other reveals.
Identity of Cobra Sun and Lana finding out about it.
Yeah. Yeah, his mask got ripped off at the end there, and then he turns and you know, she sees him and recognizes her father, and it was, you know, that's a crazy moment on top of everything else that was happening in the ring and that at that time as well.
Yeah, this was the great issue. I also think one of the things that I really loved about this too is that if you're a professional wrestling fan, there was a lot of stuff that happened in this issue that you can look at and really kind of identify with. You know, they talk about doing sentons, and they have tacks. You know, they throw tacks in. They have a bat with barbed wire on it. You know, it's like so if you're just a professional wrestling fan, you would enjoy this issue as well.
That high flying page, like, oh my God, like I must have spent like 10 minutes just staring at that, trying to understand the whole perspective there. That was such an amazing, like the artwork is incredible. Through
tables, it's like it's amazing. It was great.
I just immediately went down a Dark Crisis rabbit hole in the comments.
Like, why are you not talking?
Yeah, with the Flash stuff chaos. I'm sorry, y'all. Barry's been missing for a long time since the start of the Infinite Frontier stuff. He went missing in the stuff that Joshua Williamson was doing over there. So the Flash family just went off to find him. Most of the time that they spent finding him didn't revolve around actually having him in their hands and getting him back. It was just getting to that point. As soon as they found him, they got him out. For Rob, love you to death. Yes, sir. So Barry's been missing, so they just went to get Barry back. That's all. And it was just
fun. And that happened actually in the Flash title proper.
Yeah, that's what Chaos was saying. He felt like he had missed some Flash stuff. He said that he was reading the main body, the Dark Crisis proper, but felt like he had missed some stuff. I said the only thing that you have to read that's mandatory is that Swamp Thing one shot. That's like you legit need that. The rest of them you can easily understand, and you even get that one line of dialogue in the most recent issue of Dark Crisis where John lays out the conclusion of that book pretty much. But I definitely.
However, if you have missed anything, you can go over to my channel and you can look up our DC Comics Dark Crisis deep dives that Mark and I do every time something comes out.
Yeah, we have a weekly video that comes out where we break down any of the Dark Crisis tie-ins, propers, all that stuff, plus Flashpoint Beyond, because it is a sleeper tie-in for those that don't know. But yeah, also, Duo Powerbomb was phenomenal. Those, like you said, those perspectives are awesome. This is a master class in what I talk about with fluidity between the panels, when the art just flows and you don't get pulled out of the story. One of my favorite things that they've done with this book is made every character count. Every character matters. Even the people that they're wrestling against have noble causes. These aren't just villains from across the universe that are brought in to wrestle. No, they're there to save their child that just died a horrible death in the doctor's room to rescue a parent. Like, you want everyone to win. It's tragic that you don't get to see everyone. I love that they pulled a twist in this and they lost. They actually lost. I thought that was rough, but to be honest with you, like, you have someone fighting in this match, you had someone fighting for their parent and someone fighting for their child. I'm like, dude, I kind of want this. I kind of want Fyro to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, that kid's got more living to do.
Right.
So I thought that was cool that they won. And what a twist that tag. I didn't even think about that. Like, the tag team that we're following, Cobra Sun and Lana, they're going there for the same wish. If they win, they have the same wish. But the other team is two separate individuals that decided to come together to try to win this with two separate different goals.
Mm-hmm.
So they won and immediately turned on each other to the point that even the Necromancer's like, what?
That's where you get next issue. Come up next issue is their battle.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, basically they're going to fight each other and both die, right?
To the death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, my assumption is, I mean, in order to get, like, kind of our hero's arc here is like they have to fight each other literally to the death, and then we get to go back and have another fight with Sun and Steel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is going to be amazing. What a great way to bake in an extra issue. Like all that drama and you get to have another issue. I'm into it.
Nick is in the building and he said, "Hey, yo, I'm here to start the cock slamming. Am I premature?" And to answer Nick, no, you are not premature to cock slam cancer. And if you're joining late, that might sound normal to you. And it is normal because that's exactly what we're going to be doing to cancer, kicking off October 21st right here. It'll be running all weekend long, hopping channel to channel. Comics Curing Cancer, the second annual charity drive, officially recognized by the American Cancer Society. And if you would like to start cock slamming cancer with Nick today, right now, check the description. The description of all my videos for the rest of the week will have all the information. The donation link straight to the American Cancer Society for the C3 event is in there, as well as all the channels involved, the schedule, everything, even a personal contact number to the American Cancer Society in case you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the legitimacy of this or how you can get involved in your own way with other endeavors to help battle the bastard known as cancer. Thank you, Nick. Hashtag CockSlamCancer. Kenneth Bird, what is going on, man? How are you? Pop's attic is up in the building. Pop said, Nick, premature is the word most you're not comfortable with. Well, there's no such thing as premature here, Pops. The link is in the description. Donate today. All right, Kyle, take it easy. Hello again, Kenneth Bird. Hearts.
Double salutations.
Kenneth Bird always separates 2 from either day or 2 from night. It's just one.
That's it. He never knows who's watching.
Yeah, that's Kenneth Bird's thing. I appreciate that. All right, guys, it's been fun. 4 o'clock is going to come quickly, so I'm going to take off. Just everyone, if you're not reading Dark Spaces Wildfire, this is the best story this year that you're not reading. Check it out. If do a power bomb, and this is 1A, 1B for me.
Elaborate. What is that?
It's basically a women's prison.
Firefighting, right? Yeah.
Yeah, a women's prison volunteers a bunch of their prisoners to go out and help battle wildfires. One of those.
Is this in California or Australia?
Well, it's got snipe. Come on. So, good night, everybody. We're leaving. Check it out. It's worth a read. Yeah.
What issue number is that one? How
this
many
is
are out?
issue 4 from IDW.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Good,
PS is
really
reading.
good.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's this is 1A,
I
1B for best stories I feel this year that are indies. Do a Power Bomb and Dark Spaces Wildfire. Fantastic stuff.
I'll definitely. I'm going to say this, and you know it's just a lie, but I'll try to check it out.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reread it one more time. I'm going to put it all together, and I'm going to send it down to Augusta.
Yeah, if you send it to me, if I get it in my hand, I'll read it.
Yeah. Just like if I put a T-shirt in your hand, you're going to put it on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hold you to it.
As long as it fits.
It doesn't matter. If it doesn't fit,
you must have quit.
All right. A women's prison. I saw that video. Yeah. Oz. Have you guys seen Oz? One of the best shows. Anyways.
That wasn't a women's prison, bro.
Yeah, I know, but still. Prison stuff is so much fun.
Yeah, I've been watching all of Oz not long after I got Max. I was started with HBO's most known and notorious shows, and I started all the way back toward the beginning. And Oz was one of the first ones that they really did like that. It goes back to the mid early 90s.
Yeah,
I went through that, then went through Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire. I started The Wire, and I'm like, I gotta step away for a little while because I started watching. I'm like, dude, these people are crazy that think this is the best show ever. And then I realized I'm just bogged down right now. So I need to step away and come back and not ruin the TV show experience. So I ended up rewatching all of Justified. God, that is a good show.
I haven't watched Justified.
Timothy Olyphant playing Raylan Gibbons. Oh my God, that is a good show.
Timothy Olyphant, fantastic. All right,
yeah,
guys.
Absolutely. All right, Chris,
everybody.
Love you. Make love to the night. And Rob wants to know, is it a Turkish prison?
No. It's an American prison. And none of it really takes place in the prison. They're just prisoners going out to help battle a wildfire. One of them comes up with a crazy idea for a scheme, and it just goes afoot from there while battling and raging wildfire.
So
Check it
Walton
out.
Goggins, you know who plays Baby Billy?
Yes, he's awesome.
Yeah, that's the show like he
He's the
really like
unicorn.
cut his teeth on.
Yeah,
His
it's midnight.
You know, I'm just going to keep you here as long as I can, right?
Right,
Love you
exactly.
guys.
He was also
You're
in
two cool
the
guys.
second
Mark
G.I.
says a
Joe
wild
movie.
pick. Good night, guys.
Since they're,
I love Chris. I miss having him regularly. Oh
Is
man.
Azkaban involved? What happened
right.
to this chat in the last like 30 minutes?
It's like everyone just showed up.
Right?
Dude, this was another one that was really fun. I'm loving this. Absolutely loving this. This is Flash, The Fastest Man Alive, part 2 of 3. Like, you know, we have those Black Adam prequel books. This is the official Flash movie prequel books. It was originally slated to come out in April. The movie, we all know the whole DC line and everything got moved around and everything, but it looks like it's going to be all for the better. But they decided to go and put this out instead of holding it any longer. And this is the second issue, kind of bridging the gap between the Snyder cut and where we're going to find Barry Allen in the movie. And this one specifically focused on him having the job in the crime lab and trying to juggle, work with home, with his dad and the prison, as well as being the Flash. We saw in issue 1, he got his actual suit. He doesn't have just the one that he was wearing in the Snyder cut. Batman helped him get a real suit. He got it in the ring and everything. We kind of get an idea of how that works. We had some beautiful artwork in this one, where the first one was kind of like that person who does Harley Quinn and Robin King and
Riley Rossmo.
Yeah, it was kind of just way too cartoony. And this one was not. This one was crisp. It was dynamic. Paul's got, yeah, there it is. Hold on. Boom. Like, that's the kind of art we had in here. Like, what? Night and day, the difference in the art. And you can see that he's actually rocking the costume that you can see in, like, the trailer and everything. And in this story, the villain that he's facing in this, like, he faced Girdle in that first issue, and he had to discover how to actually punch stuff without breaking his hands. In this, he's, like I said, juggling responsibilities, and he fights a character called Tar Pit, who's just a mutated member of a crime family, basically, who was like the goofish brother who stumbled upon these abilities and took over the crime family, and he's just real heavy-handed with it, and you get some classic superhero antics and stuff. But the main thing was just watching Barry find that focus, because obviously when we meet him in the movie, he's going to know how to be the Flash. He's going to have that job and have had it for some time already. So we're getting a lot of insight in where we can expect to see this movie start. So I'm big excited for that movie. I don't care two craps about the personal lives and going on of Ezra Miller. I think it's going to be hilarious if this movie is amazing and it makes people big mad because they want to go see it. Flash.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. For the same reason that you just mentioned. And I thought we talked about the last one, thought it was a good story, but the art kind of kept me away. But this really kind of brought me back to it. So, but yes, the current Flash series is very good. Jeremy Adams is knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, Jeremy Adams doing the main Flash series with Wally West, amazing. I do want to put a fair warning out, because if someone hears us say it's amazing, they go and pick up the very next issue, they're going to be like, what the hell is going on? So the next issue is just kind of a fun issue. They just finished the search for Barry Allen story that was tied to the event. So they're going to be doing some fun filler stuff, kind of. And keeping with the theme of a lot of comics right now, the Flash is about to find himself in a wrestling situation. So it's going to be a little lighthearted, whimsical. But Jeremy Adams is a phenomenal writer. He writes a lot of the TV shows and movies that you've probably seen and didn't even realize it. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Moving right along to one I know everyone read and Ryan's ready to talk. Batman versus Robin. This is like a sleeper event happening at DC Comics right now that Ryan is about to talk about.
Wow. Cool.
You got all the details on this whole thing in mass.
Yeah, I thought this issue was not as strong as the first one, but it was still, it was like a big info dump. And so it brought forth a lot of like important information. I have seen some comments that apparently a lot of that stuff came up in the Robin series. So for readers of that, it was kind of, giving you information you already have. But for me, like I was like, this is really interesting stuff. You know, it really explains a lot. And ultimately, like we just kind of got the backstory of how we got to the point we were at whenever the first issue started. We got the history of the Lazarus Pit and where all that came from.
Very important for what's coming.
Yeah.
The connection to Nazah and the Lazarus Pit. That's that's the foundational stuff to the upcoming event.
Yeah. So overall it was a really good issue. And I really enjoyed it, but it was mostly exposition stuff.
Bro, not
valuable information, but
it was great how they did it. They delivered it by Batman going into the House of Secrets.
And the House of Mystery.
Yeah,
and they talked to the people from the Witching Hour. It was like
just kept layering it. Like, dude, my head is spinning. Like, it was really cool. And as far as the information dump for Robin, like there was actually a page earlier on where I'm like, dude, I kind of want to stop this and binge read the rest of the Robin series, because I read like the first like 4 to 6, right? And then I turned the page, and then they did the info dump from the Robin series. I'm like, oh, okay, now I don't have to read it. Thank God. That was perfect. Well, we got Ra's al Ghul's grandmother convening with powers beyond herself even, and that was cool that they linked the devil Nazah, who, as far as I know, this is a new character that Mark Waid brought in for World's Finest. He didn't previously exist, did he?
Not that I'm aware of.
So there's this character, deep rooting him in DC Comics, right?
Yeah, like the thing is, like Nazah is a character that exists like in Chinese lore.
Yeah.
Just like the Monkey Prince, but not in any way do I think he's like already been connected to like the DC lore. So they're kind of just explaining his existence in a DC way, which is like really interesting because, like you said, it's very deep rooted.
Like the 50s or 60s that haven't been used, and they'll bring them back and do cool stuff, kind of like what they did in that Thor God of Hammer storyline. They just brought in, like, it wasn't really a new character, it was just a bad guy demon from forever ago in the Hammer kind of thing. I didn't know if they were doing that, but yeah, what were you going to say, Paul?
What I say is the other thing, one of the major things that's happened so far in the series is Alfred is back. And in the very last panel, you find out is there a connection between Alfred and Devil Nazah. So
we don't really have like a definitive timestamp on this stuff, but we know this is post Lazarus Island with Robin. So Alfred's definitely dead, but Batman's just wandering around with him like it's nothing. And we do find out in that last page that he's being piloted by Nazah. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool idea to actually link him in with the existence of the Lazarus, because they exist because of him. So that like makes him like a fundamental character to DC Comics. So this could be a long-standing character that reoccurs, like Trigon and other characters. Like, so I thought that was super cool because he is a powerhouse character.
Yeah, I enjoyed this issue. I thought it was good. And like that tease at the end there, you know, with Alfred's shadow, because I think Batman like kind of stamped that pretty well in the last issue. Whenever he's like, you know, you're back. I don't understand how or why, but like honestly, right now the most important thing is that we don't let you die again. So it's not necessarily that he's just running around like, this isn't weird. He's just like, until we get through everything that's going on, like Damian trying to chase us down and murder us, let's not try to like spend too much time on figuring this out.
One thing at a time.
I
think it was cool because by the end of this, we got Damian talking with his great-grandmother and kind of solidifying like their plans. And of course, he's defiant. He questions everything, even her. And she talks about like, you need what Batman's always had. Like, you need to step into the mantle and you need your own Bat family. And you see that the rest of the Bat family is now taken over. And it looks like they're about to be sidekicking for Damian, who is now in the official Damian Batman suit that he first showed up in Batman 666. He is in that outfit right there for this event. And I thought, like, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, yes.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was like, that's a cool suit. I didn't realize there was any like previous connection or anything.
Yeah.
There was. And I actually picked up this copy, Paul, at the it's not a flea market, the indoor consignment shop place we went to next to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I picked this up there, not this year, but last year when I went.
Okay.
They're just sitting in there. That's a great little spot. Yeah, this is a really fun event though. I'm already enjoying it. There's a lot of good writing going on in this. They're building up something huge for it.
Yeah, they're building up, and they're setting the stage for Lazarus Planet. So
yeah, which I feel like that's definitely going to just be like how this Batman versus Robin is an event. I feel like it's going to be on the same par as that, like the same level. Even though it's going to be obviously crazy, it's definitely not about to be like a summer event, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for Electric Blue Superman to come back. I like really excited for that. All right, let's do one that Ryan, he's been blowing up my DMs all week about this one. He wouldn't stop telling me about how much he loved it. It's talking about like groundbreaking, revolutionary, masterclass in writing. Ryan, you go ahead and take it away. Jurassic League finale, 6 of 6. Ryan's read of the week.
Man,
this book was trash.
This was like, I don't know, like if you thought that this series was falling apart at any specific point, like they just really, went ahead and drove it right into the ground.
It was fun, but it wasn't good, if that makes sense.
I didn't even find it fun at a certain point. I was just like, this is so stupid. Like, Batman is like, I'm going to defend these people. And then they're like, but we can fight too. Like, we can help. And he's just like, no, I'm going to protect you. But we can fight. We can help you. He's like, no, do not worry. I can protect you. And then Joker's like, oh, wait, before I kill you, now that I have you on the ropes, before I kill you, this is a comic book, and I'm literally going to say we should stop so I can stare into your eyes and deliver a monologue. It's a comic book. It's not in motion. Why do you need to say I need to stop to look into your eyes? You just do that thing. And then whenever like Batman's like, oh, I'm screwed, and the humans throw the spears, then he's like, oh, maybe the humans can help me. Really? and then Darkseid's just
help.
like,
in Batman's defense, they weren't much help.
They saved him for a moment. More than he gave him any credit for. And then Darkseid's just like, I'm gonna eat the Joker, who like Darkseid is here, and Batman's like, small fish. I'm gonna focus on this Joker situation going on. This was the worst Joker ever. Like, no characterization at all. He's just like running around being a menace, and Batman's like, I would rather worry about him because he ate my parents.
Yeah, I agree. Weird Science, it is, but it was like Justice League Volume 1 that Jeff Johns did. Like, it's that story basically. The Justice League coming together to fight Darkseid right out of the gate, but it's done in a very condensed form. And
like they made Wonder Woman important, gave her special armor, and then she does absolutely nothing. Guess who I forgot was even in this series? Aquaman. And he shows up with a freaking well. Like, how cliche can you be? Have Aquaman show up with a well and then just get bitch slapped. Like nobody did anything against Darkseid except for Superman, barely. Batman just got ate by him. That was it. Just got ate by him. Didn't even do anything. Like, Green Lantern did nothing. Him and the Flash did like some weird like combo move. Completely ineffective.
Yeah, the ineffective part I get because you're building up the strength of your Darkseid character, but there was no comeback. There's no rallying back. They just gave the moment to Superman, which I don't feel like that would have stopped Dark. He literally just planted him in the ground. There was like, why did that? Like when that happened, like I was expecting both of them to come crawling out and then us to get like a rallying team moment. But in the defense of the book, this was this writer's first outing, right? Like this is an artist.
I mean, I know he's done artwork before. I don't know if he's ever written anything.
Yeah. So Daniel Warren Johnson has his name on this book, which I think is a travesty.
Yeah, he should not have done that.
But he did the cover arts for this. He did not do the interiors, and I think he just helped with just like some steering of direction for Juan Gedeon, who's the actual creator on the book. But the crazy part is this was an introductory series because these characters are returning, not necessarily from Juan Gedeon. But this Earth, these characters are supposed to be returning in an upcoming something with the dawn of the ECU thing. So
I was horrified that it said the end ? At the end. I was like, oh no.
I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm interested in the characters. I like the idea of dinosaurs being Justice
like
League members.
The concept and the premise, that's like a 10-star concept. Like the execution is 1 star on a good day. Like it was
I would be
like
excited
the
to see where they
concept is
go next.
amazing. It was so
I
like
definitely-
after the first 2 issues were good. The first one was okay. The second one was really good. The third one crapped the bed, and everything after that just never really recovered properly. And
DC
gorillas.
and gorillas. They really do. It was boring. It didn't do anything with the premise at all. 100% agree. They had such a cool build-up, the way that they did Darkseid differently in this. Like they had to feed it, and it, like this growing monstrosity with all the bodies like pinned to the wall, Jeepers Creepers style, with the way that he started to hatch and just grabbed his own and yanked them in and consumed them and sealed back up to grow stronger. And the design of Darkseid, I loved it, like the giant Darkseid tortoise-looking thing. But like you said, they really didn't do anything. It just kind of
It kept trying to cash in on like Justice League DC moments, but it didn't. It put in no work to get there. Like in the 5th issue, when the Justice League finally comes together, that should have been a payoff. And I was just like, oh, that feels super empty and flat. Like that was the point where the whole series really turned for me. At that moment, I was just like, oh yeah, this isn't getting better.
Yeah, you had them all do those individual attacks, and I was waiting on that. Like, separately we can't do anything, but together we can.
Yeah, even Superman says coordinate your attacks, and then just never does anything with that.
He just plants them. That moment when he planted him was dope, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Only because it was like representative of what this whole series did. It's like, here's a metaphor for the series.
Right, that's what we need. We need a Zoo Crew Jurassic League crossover. That's what we need. Captain Carrot up in here.
I feel like this series has to make my like end of the year list. Just like worst thing I've ever read, possibly.
Paul, what did you think of it? Did you read it? Did you get a chance yet?
I read the beginning of it. The more I read of it, the more I kept thinking to myself, they're just writing this to make action figures somewhere down the road.
Yeah, McFarlane's gonna announce them any day. If they come out with a Darkseid mega figure from this, dude, I'm getting this whole line. I'm not joking. If McFarlane releases these figures, I'm getting them. I'm gonna support
that. Honestly, that would be way better than all 6 issues of that.
Hey, those would be dope figures, though.
Right? Yeah. Like I said, the premise is great. Even the character designs are pretty solid. It's just everything about it is just like, what?
Well, I don't know how the character design is really going to translate to an action figure. You get this naked, smooth Superman, which is an S painted on his chest, and he's stepped in red paint because it's just flattened up like Ken. He's just smooth naked dinosaur.
They couldn't even at least do like a Martian Manhunter icon sort of thing where you like looks all weird. So he's just like, oh, dinosaur DNA, I'll do that thing, like. But no, he's just gonna look weird.
They established that clothes matter. You got Wonder Dawn dressed up. You've got Batman dressed up. Then you got Superman just wearing a cape. Yeah. Nothing else. Oh, I'm definitely interested to see where this goes moving forward. Because I cannot remember where I read it, but they are appearing. I don't think in any large capacity. They'll be appearing again. And it's probably one of those like thick boy books that are come out after Dark Crisis kind of thing, where you kind of get to see a little bit of everything going on across the multiverse. If we still have a multiverse, I'm expecting us to not have an omniverse anymore. I think we're going to be moving away from that concept, even though we never even really fully unpacked it. But I think there's a lot of corrective stuff happening. I still am perplexed by the fact that there's 2 centers of the omniverse. You have Earth. Wasn't it Earth Omega? No, it was Earth Zero and Elseworld, where you're 2 centers of the omniverse, and we have yet to go to Elseworld yet to see what was over there. Anyways,
Did you have any other comments, Paul? I'm sorry, we kind of cut you off.
No, I mean, I actually, this is one of these series that I'm collecting the 6th issue just because I'm a completist, but I may not even read it.
I mean, I pretty much described the whole fight with Darkseid. It just essentially doesn't happen.
So it was Omega's the other one. And we went to Earth Omega. That's where like the whole Dark Crisis kicked off from back in Infinite Frontier issues. That's where they set up the Omniverse. We hardly knew you. All right, what else y'all got? Let's move past this.
Travis.
Speaking of Dark Crisis,
Super dude, this was amazing. This was a perfectly well-rounded comic.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Paul.
All right. If you're following Dark Crisis, you know that it all started back in Justice League number 75, where the Justice League died, except for Green Arrow. He actually was not killed, but he is someone who is on one of these ideal worlds that Pariah has created for the Justice League members. And so we start in this issue basically what an ideal world would be like for Oliver Queen is kind of like a Robin Hood type world. A sheriff of Nottingham and a Sherwood Forest and all that good stuff. And so we see him very much in one of those type of scenarios where he has all 3 of his sidekicks, Mia and Roy and Connor, with him. Yeah,
we actually talked about this in grave detail today. We're gonna talk about this right now. This what could have been a massive plot hole in Dark Crisis, but we'll get there. I promise you.
Yep. And so what happens is they basically save some peasants from Merlin, and they end up chasing Merlin into the woods, and Green Arrow chases him into the forest, and suddenly he comes upon what looks like Star City. And so he meets Black Canary, who they look at each other and they're like, "Do I know you? I think I kind of know you. Maybe I know you." I feel like they feel as though they have some sort of connection to each other, and so they start to battle a little bit, but then it kind of ends as they realize that they know each other. And basically, long story short, is this the connection that they have is one obviously of love. And all of these worlds that Pariah has put the Justice League on, Justice League members have basically been based on hope, and that's how Pariah has kind of used that hope to fuel his machine that he's using to try to recreate the multiverse again. And he was not able to get Green Arrow and Black Canary into the every time he tried to put them on separate worlds, they would always end up finding each other because of love. And so basically the moral of the story is love is stronger than hope. And so what he ends up doing is trapping both of them in a cage of love. The backup story is basically Black Canary, and she basically helps Green Arrow, and they have this interaction with Pariah where he's not actually dead. This tie-in was complete garbage. Oh no. I really enjoyed it. The 2 stories connect at the end. They basically connect to each other, which again is kind of reinforcing the fact that the 2 of them have this bond, whereas in all the other stories they kind of been separate. So, but Mark, I don't want to go into the whole Doomsday thing. So
yeah, so a couple of things like where I couldn't imagine thinking that this was garbage. I can after reading this comment, I kind of immediately started trying to put some perspective to it. So going into these, there's a concept to all of these that they're supposed to all have shared across these one-shots. This is these characters in their ideal paradise. So we saw Superman where he gets to see John Kent grow up. We saw Hawkgirl where she gets to become mortal. We saw the travesty that was the Wonder Woman comic that was so bad because that ridiculous writer tried to say that her paradise is a world that's been destroyed and she has to be a warrior and fight for the rest. Like, it's crazy. Like, she did that writer did not know the character of Wonder Woman, never even heard the name Wonder Woman before she wrote that book. Clearly, going into this, knowing that this is a Green Arrow book, and having saw that the backup story was supposed to be Green Arrow, Black Canary in the backup, but they even say the backup is Green Arrow and Black Canary. Knowing these two relationship, knowing these two characters, this book was exactly what it was supposed to be. It opens up with like a classic Robin Hood style scenario where Ollie is literally a Robin Hood character with his band of merry men, but it's his actual wards with him, fighting the Dark Archer, who's like the Sheriff of Nottingham type character. But like he said, he kind of bleeds into Black Canary's world where they just find each other. They immediately feel that connection, like they've known each other forever. So that was kind of perfect. It was campy, it's quirky, having the Robin Hood thing, absolutely. But that was just a mechanism to move the story. That wasn't the story. And then when we get to the end was fire. That's where it all comes together, where it's all just was a mechanism to deliver actual main plot points for the Dark Crisis proper. We actually see some of the conversation and some of the time spent when Pariah was constructing these worlds. We see that Ollie was, like you said, pulverized by Doomsday. We saw that in Justice League 75. He's the only character that wasn't taken out by Pariah, just dusted and put into one of these worlds. Doomsday came down and wrecked him. But we get a couple panels in this where he's just laying there broken in Dinah's arms, just gurgling words out. And we found out before he breathed his last breath, Pariah grabbed him. He's alive because Pariah wanted him alive so that he could feel his machine. He caught him in that last moment. And there's even some back and forth with Pariah and Black Canary about Pariah saying, I might just have to let him go. It's not worth keeping. And Black Canary is telling him, like, this, we will never be able to function how you want us to, like the way you're trying to make this work, like he has to be here. I thought that was really cool. That was very telling. That was like very true to like their relationship, like we saw, it's just the right theme for this book. Like I couldn't imagine, like trying to imagine what else could this have been. There's really not something I could come up with. Like you can interchange the Robin Hood thing with anything. Like I said, it wasn't the point of it. It was just a narrative move to move it.
Right, and we see multiple versions of Oliver as well. We see him from the island, we see him obviously in this Robin Hood, and it's basically in every iteration, whatever Black Canary or Green Arrow that you have, they always will end up finding each other.
And to this point, this was addressed too in the Pariah pages. Ideal paradise for Oliver. Roy still is troubled, and where is Mia, his daughter? Well, in the one that we saw, so first off, there's been countless. It shows you where Pariah has tried this countless times. So we have the narrator who was a version of Ollie from one of these worlds. We have the Ollie that never came off the island that attacked him. We have the Ollie that was Archer. We have the Ollie in the future. Pariah has tried countless times to reset these paradise worlds and find one that would work to keep them there. But that's the whole point, is we never actually saw like the final. We only got one page of the actual paradise world. You know what I mean? Where it was the journey to getting that world. That very, very last page with them two holding each other in a shared world. They're not on separate worlds anymore. They're on one together. That's all. The whole point of this was just to show that Ollie doesn't have a perfect world without her. She doesn't have a perfect world without him. So you can pretty much assume that everyone else is going to have to be there too, because how strong-willed these suckers are. But yeah, Pariah is an idiot. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. All the way back to the 80s, Pariah, me and Paul touched on this. He's probably the worst scientist in all of DC Comics.
Right, exactly.
The absolute worst scientist ever to exist. Oliver should have been alive as part of the Black Canary's dream world, almost a play of how he came back in Quiver as a construct of how. Dude, that was dope. But yeah, so there's this one panel where you have Pariah sitting there trying to figure out how to make this work, and underneath him is like 5-8 different Ollies and 5 to 8 different Dinahs where he's tried this over and over and he can't get it to work with them on separate worlds. And I can get for his angle, wanting them on separate worlds, functioning properly how he wants them to, so that he can get that much more juice for his machine. But it just doesn't work. But yeah, that I absolutely love that book. Right, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of his shtick. You know, if I was stuck in his position, just bouncing across the multiverse, watching worlds end as penance to being a bad scientist, I would probably have a little bit of damage as well. Side note, what if a different Oliver returns, not the one that died? See, and that's something that I'm kind of curious about too, because Dark Crisis #5 proper probably makes some of that when Superman comes back like full of the multiverse energy. He's like, dude, you know, if you stop me, y'all are all gone, right? Like, you know, you only exist because I got you in this state of existence. I'm like, wait a minute, what does that mean? So I'm wondering if I'm wondering what state of existence these Justice League members are in now that they've returned from these paradise prisons. And I'm thinking that either A, Superman in his current state has somehow player ability to kind of correct that because he's like on some next level stuff right now, or we got Dr. Multiverse was created in Justice League Incarnate issue #2 and brought in. And like, we don't know the scope or scale of what all she's capable of other than seeing and traveling between multiverses and stuff. And like, why would they even bring that character in? And we haven't even seen the return to Justice League Incarnate yet. Like I'm dying to get those characters back now. Like we got Justice League back. Well, we can only assume that they're all in the same situation.
You were just talking about Captain Carrot.
Yeah, exactly. My guess is Stephanie Phillips will write a Green Arrow Black Canary book from this, so maybe we get some answers. Yeah, dude, I like the fact that there's so much to wonder and try to debate about the story and see where we can spec on comics the right way, spec on the stories and try to figure out where they go. It's just fun. And seeing it play out in ways that we never expected, that's what keeps me coming back, man. Speaking of a book that plays out in ways you can never predict, and it has definitely kept me coming back, this right here is some next level shit. This is Star Hinge Book 1, The Dragon and the Boar, issue #4. This is Liam Sharp, that stellar artist, this book for decades, and he's come in and just crafted something really special here. Really, really special. So this was a great issue. They just went all out with this issue in numerous different ways, from the action, from the plot progression, and really, they gave us the big twist. We got a big answer of who our main protagonist is and how this character is so much more than we thought. So much more than we thought. Paul, you haven't read this one yet, have you?
I have not read that one yet.
Oh, it's a shame.
It will arrive on Saturday.
It's a shame to have to spoil this one.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
I don't know. This is the big twist issue.
Yeah, no, I go into these knowing that, you know, it's a spoiler-filled.
All right, if you're okay with that, Ryan, you want to give me your thoughts, perspectives on this one?
Was it better than Jurassic League?
Oh, definitely. There's not many books that sink to that level.
Dude, this could be my, like, if I went back and doing this for a second read through, this could possibly be my favorite issue. That first one is definitely still my favorite issue because of the shock value of finding out where this story and what this story is. But this one could be my favorite issue if I go back and read it.
That's a great comment. Yeah, so this one picks up pretty much off the back of the issue before, whenever they're camping in the woods. And she's like, yo, like, we got to get out of here. And they go outside, and so we pick up right there. What is that thing called? A Mordred or something like that?
Big iron dude with the skinned person on his
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Homeboy's there, and then they basically go on an acid trip, and they don't really fight him.
No, her boyfriend does.
Well, he fights, but she runs.
Yeah, so you find out right off the rip that he's more than we thought he was. He's actually one of the dudes from the future. He, God, what is the term they use?
I don't know. It starts with a W, right?
It's something Clark. Like, for people that are able,
Clark or something like that.
It's like
Clark.
It's
Yeah, because Arthur was Clarked also, right?
Shape Clark. A Shape Clark is somebody like from the future that has the ability, like we would perceive it as magic, but it's just science that is not discovered by us yet. They're able to conform their bodies to what they need them to be, to manipulate the genetic code of ourselves, you know. And so her boyfriend Daryl You know, they were out in the woods at the end of that last issue, just kind of hanging out, having a moment. Well, the big dude who showed up at the last page, who we were teased, the big bad guy from the future who we saw built and they put that skin dude's face on, he rolls up on him at the end of the last issue. And it starts, and dude, it went away we didn't think. So Daryl is a shape Clark, and he immediately just goes big, and then her brain just freezes. And they go into this amazing explanation about how real life is just no different than comic books. Every memory is just a little photo, which is nothing more than a comic panel. And one thing about Liam Sharp that this comment really does portray perfectly is you wonder why they got 7 artists on it. Oh, it's just Liam Sharp. The dude's just that good. So you turn the page and her brain starts perceiving life like in images, and it cuts to her watching what's happening in the form of a comic. We've already seen him portray different scenes in the book with different tones and styles to kind of mirror the emotions that we're supposed to be having. And that's what we do here. So while he's fighting, he screams to her just to run, and she runs into the forest, into a creature, another one that's waiting. So we're getting more and more characters. We knew that they sent more than just Merlin back. We knew that already from that first issue, but we're running into numerous ones. And then it bounces around a little bit into the past and into Merlin, and the narrator tells us, like, all right, we have to get through this part. It's really important. Like, we've been following Merlin's dad for a while, and it gives us some actual Arthurian history about Merlin's dad. Stonehenge is there now, and they need to get Arthur here, you know, and the actual history of Merlin's dad and how Arthur was conceived, which is a little controversial, and they address that in the book and everything. And we also get the fact that Merlin's dad was augmented by Merlin with the Shape Clark ability to get him to be as strong of a king as he needed to be to get to Arthur. You know, he told him that his son is going to be the one that unifies the lands against the bad guys, and gets into some of the character defects of his father, hearing that and wanting to be that person, and rising to great feats, but falling short and ultimately being taken out by sickness, and which is just actual Arthurian history, which was cool to cover some more true historical ground. And of course, the artwork is just stellar through all of it. And then we get the big reveal at the end that our main protagonist, who studies in these witchcrafts and doesn't know why, she actually is one of them as well. Lost in time, lost through time, had no real recollection of being able to be this person, from what I understand. But she just starts doing some next level shit, where it kind of shows that she's actually been able to move through time on her own. And they leave us hanging with like some major cliffhangers here, where you get her grabbing Daryl and them taking off. Like, she's able to manipulate these energy fields to move through these different times, and they land somewhere in the past, and they're not sure where, but they just know that they got to get moving. And yeah, so they're now 10 toes deep in it. We now know why we've been following them. We have no clue if they were aware of each other being Shape Clarks, or on what level this main character even exists, who she really is. We know she's born of parents in modern era, so we don't really know if she's tapped into magic on her own, if she's a being from the future somehow. They haven't given us that yet, but it was wicked. A lot happened in this issue.
Yeah, that was one of those, like that one in Batman versus Robin. I read like Tuesday morning or Tuesday night, and they're pretty foggy at this point. But yeah, because I remember her being in the trees and stuff, and like homeboy's just like whoosh, like flying, getting beat up by that dreadnought thing. He comes flying across, and then he's like trying to protect her, and he's like trying to show her what to do and stuff.
Yeah, this is a perfect one for a hardback edition. Like, this book is nuts, but this was such a good issue.
Yeah, it's already slated for a March release. It's either the 23rd or the 16th. But hardback, and I'm hoping it's oversized, because like that artwork deserves to be, you know, held up in like a giant tome of hardbackness.
Just put it on a scroll.
Right? Perfect.
It was wicked. So, Paul, I know you haven't read it yet, and you know the nature of this book. There's really no way you can synopsis this book properly. Right. It is just so much.
Yeah.
Dude,
there are...
Exactly. dude, I'm loving the fact that you got someone here that's reading Starhinge. It's
Right.
I mean, I only know of one other person that's reading it, and that's Pocan Joe, who accidentally.
Well, just review of issue 4 was like
Great.
on point. Yeah, I was like, you got about as much out of it as I did.
Yeah, it was great. So, yeah, like what it is it's Starhinge book 1, issue 4. So, dude, I hope this goes on for a while. I really do. This is a massive with so much potential.
It's one of those books that you can talk about it all. You can like talk about how great it is, but you have to experience it. You really have to. You have to see the panel layouts and
Yes.
and how he does that and everything, because that's an important part of the whole storytelling.
Yeah, it's dense as hell. Like in that we were talking about that every time we hit it, pretty much. Like this is not one you just pick up and speed read through at all whatsoever. And that's what I love about it so much. You actually, I think it's like $3.99, something like that. I don't even know. It's $3 or $4.99, but you get your money's worth. Like there's so much story. You can just sit and chill on the pages with the artwork and stuff. I'm a huge Liam Sharp fan going into this. That's why I picked it up. Like I had no clue what he was doing, no clue what he was writing. I never read a synopsis for it. Ryan just let me know, like, hey, Liam Sharp's going to be doing an image book. And I even missed it the day it came out because I sucked so bad at keeping up with stuff other than my normal pool. And Ryan had to tell me that it came out and I had to go back and pick up issue 1.
And we talked about the fact that we had to, almost every issue you have to read more than once, because you spend the entire first part just looking at all the pretty pictures and all the beautiful art and everything, and it's like that you miss a lot of the story. Then you have to go back and you have to actually read the story as well. So it just works on so many different levels for you.
Oh, absolutely, Pop. You'll eat this shit up for sure.
Yeah, I actually meant to read it again today before that and Batman versus Robin. Meant to refresh myself today, but then we had to go do like family photos or something. Okay. So
dude, I love like that's like to a degree. That's why I enjoy Tom King stuff, because it's dense. I would not want all my books like that whatsoever. I definitely need breezy reads, lighthearted reads. Like it's good to have like a very diverse pool, because you get home and you're not always in the same mood. Books are like movies. You're not always in the mood for a comedy. I'm not always in the mood to watch Titanic for the 10,000th time. And every now and then I want to watch a ship sink, but not always. Speaking of Tom King, Ryan, guess what came out? Love Everlasting.
Oh,
it focuses on this was a cool one. Now this was pretty cool. It focuses on this weird relationship with these two couples, and one of theirs love for getting away and out of town, and the other one wanting them to stay in town with them. And they kind of our main character is kind of a bookworm and has like this librarian that she decides to reach out to for some advice, and she finds out some revealing stuff about her own past, where this librarian actually dated her father, and her father and the librarian were actually true lovers, that she decided that she needed to see the world and everything. So her father settled with her mom, and she made a lot of decisions with her life looking at the way her parents ended up and the experience of this librarian. And she decided to not go experience the world, but to settle down with her sweetheart. And we get our crazy twist ending when they're about to go tell her parents that she's not moving away, she's staying home. She asks her boyfriend if you can run back in the library and grab my jacket for me. And he gets in there and he looks at the librarian and says, hey, I'm just picking up this jacket that she left. And she's like, okay, cool. And instead of doing that, he puts on his cowboy bandana over his face, turns around and says, hey, hello, Joan. I'm like, bro, this has got some Westworld vibes to it. So this is the same cowboy that killed her in the last issue. He's been looking for her for decades, going through the years, searching, chasing her, couldn't find her. And he said, I finally figured it out. I'm just going home and waiting on you. And he did, and he found her. And it just cliffhanged us. I'm like, dude, you gave me no more answers, but that was amazing. That was such a cool twist.
Yeah. This is what, the third issue?
Yeah, this was issue 3.
Issue 3?
Issue 3.
Yeah, so you got one
more Tom King fan in the house. I am. I most definitely am. I'm one of those people that I can pick it up because his name's on it, and I'm 90% going to like it most likely.
I literally have no interest in like romance comics and stuff, but Love Everlasting is it's so cool.
She will 100% die a miserable time after being revealed to be a world-destroying killer and drunk.
I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So, full disclosure here, I'm on issue 3. Ryan's like on issue probably like 50 because he follows it on Substack where it's way ahead, and I refuse to read spoilers.
Issue 6, I think 7 should be right around the corner. But yeah, like the next issue is going to be interesting because it doesn't necessarily like the next one feels a lot more romancier and kind of like loses you in the world a little more. It kind of pulls back from the meta slightly just to like lean into it in that 5th issue, like so hardcore. Like the 5th issue is really exciting, but it stays true to its roots in the next issue. But yeah, the librarian issue, that was a trip, like, and it's starting to kind of like key you into what's going on, you know, like you're really starting to understand a little bit better that like there are forces at play, you know, and
confusing forces. But it's dude, that's what's so crazy about it is they wait so long to hit you with the hook. Like you open this book, you know, like, all right, I can't wait to read this and see what hook they give us in this, what twist, what little bit of information I might be able to pull from it. And like you said, you get lost in the actual story. Like you start to get invested in these two characters. Like, man, I wonder if she's gonna love him forever.
Yeah.
Then the mofo puts on a bandana and pulls out a gun. I'm like, whoa.
Where did this come from? Yeah. And then it's like crazy because they give you so many answers in the 5th one, and then you know, in true Tom King fashion, like issue 6 takes exactly what you expect now and like just completely inverts it and like messes with your head twice as much.
Yeah, I would. You didn't read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, did you? Weird Science. Superman Worlds Without a Justice League one shot.
Mr. Miracle.
Mr. Miracle, yeah.
Superman Up in the Sky.
Superman Up in the Sky, like 10 out of 10 for that one. Like
a lot of his, you know, a lot of his like I guess like hated books, I can understand. Like I can see that perspective. Like
most time you hear Heroes in Crisis and his Batman run.
Heroes in Crisis, I thought was really good until like the last issue and a half, and then I can, not that I like hated the series at that point, but I can see where people felt like that was like disservice, you know. So like I can see that perspective. I can see where people don't like Batman, Catwoman. I don't know, like the fact that it was True Grit was one of the best things about it. So.
Like it wasn't like you'd have to read like that. Was that one of those little things that he put up on the Substack where he talked about how intentionally he was writing a book in True Grit fashion? Like,
yeah.
And
he talks about like basically what'll happen is either he picks a character or they give him a character, and then they kind of tell him what they want done with it. And so like with Supergirl, it was, we want you to make Supergirl badass. And he was like, okay. And so then he just like started going through a catalog of inspiration, and he was like, you know what? Like, True Grit would be a great way to make her a gritty character and like really give her like, you know, some backbone and make her a badass, you know?
Bro, that moment that what was it, like issue 1 when she got hit with the arrows and kept coming, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about your swords or your arrows. Yeah. You know, and he also talks about like his original like pitch with that even was like basically Lobo was going to be her character, you know. Like Lobo was going to be Rooster and she was going to be the Ruthie character. And he was like, no, like how does she grow from that, you know? And that's where he came up with a lot of the growth that he got out of Ruthie, but it was later down the line when he realized like, no, she should be Rooster. And, you know, it's her showing somebody else how to grow that gives her the growth in the story, you know?
So I would disagree with a lot of this. He has a list of ideas he shoves characters into. I think that's part of the draw for me is the way that he works characters in ways that you typically don't see them. A lot of the stuff like i.e. Human Target that he's doing right now, which is ridiculously good. I know that a lot of the complaints come from that, like, oh, he made Guy Gardner a character assassinated him, that's out of character, when it's completely on brand for Guy Gardner. He takes characteristics and traits, known characteristics and traits of characters, and simply just turns the volume on them. What does this character look like if I take him from a 5 to an 8? And
we didn't even mention One Bad Day Riddler.
Oh
yeah, fire. And also a lot of the stuff you got to keep in mind, like a lot of this stuff is like Black Worlds where you're not contingent upon continuity. You're able to work with characters and parameters and do stuff that's not typical, which everyone else praises when other people do it. If it's not, like, go read Deceased, like those characters are acting all sorts of different ways, but it's not Earth Prime, it's not Earth Zero, so that's perfectly fine. He also ends almost every story with ambiguous endings because the story never makes much sense and he needs to fudge the endings. I
love ambiguous endings.
Intentionally ambiguous endings are like actually you have to be a pretty talented writer to pull those off. It's kind of you can either do what She-Hulk did, that's an example of bad writing, or you can do what Mr. Miracle did, that's an example of fire ending, like where you don't really like what was his actual intentions. Like it gets you talking, it leaves it open.
It lives in your brain for much longer.
And there's plenty of books, and he has switched up his writing style here in the last 2 years as well, where he did like Mr. Miracle, Strange Adventures, which are very similar in style, tone, structure, all that. Then you get Supergirl of 1 Minute of Tomorrow, which that's just, dude, I don't care what anybody says. Like, that's just an amazing book. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That story was fire. Like, it being similar to True Grit, I didn't even know that was his intention going into that book. I read issue, I'm like, oh shit, he's doing a True Grit style story here, which that story like pattern has been done countless times, not just with True Grit. But
yeah, I haven't read any of his Batman stuff, so like Batman the series, so I can't really speak to any of that. But I can also see, based on what I have read of his work, like I can't believe he was on an ongoing title in the first place.
Yeah,
he talks about on Substack, like the way he writes is he basically writes like every issue before it's even touched by the artist. Not to say that things don't change in the process, but he writes like a movie. So even though he's like doing like these segmented stories in each issue, he also like writes his overarching story across all of those issues.
He said that there's an alternate ending to the Mr. Miracle book that Mitch Gerards was telling him about. I'd be interested to hear what it was. I wonder if it's included in like how they put like special features and stuff into the collected editions. I wonder if I actually enjoyed Grayson.
Yeah, he also releases a lot of his scripts on Substack and stuff at the paid tier. So if there was like an alternate ending or an original version, a lot of times he notates that. So it would be interesting to see if it doesn't come out through all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, this does go back to, I love this comment that he put in here earlier, right here. The part where he says, most divisive writer in comics would sets up good fights between fans. And I absolutely love debating with people. Like, people like what they like, but I love debating with people who have different opinions of myself with this stuff. Yeah. So here's one that's actually from Marvel that I picked up this week, Ghost Rider issue number 7. So I was really pumped when this series started. It felt like it was doing this new era Ghost Rider thing, and like my brain started comparing it to Immortal Hulk, like where we had this really, really horrific vibes to it, where it looked like it was going to be episodic, and then it took a turn to the Camp Goofy with this whole bike race out in the desert and stuff, and it was just really just a change of pace and not a good way. And in this issue, we're kind of getting past that, and it looks like it's setting up where the next arc will be going. We've got the parasitic thing out from Johnny's brain that was holding his back and helping to sever the full connection to the rider, and that entity grew, and it is like God, I forget what it called itself. It has some goofy name, but it looks like a Terminator that's smoking, but it's made of like engine parts instead of just a robot. And it is able to go through people's face and turn them into exhaust monsters. I think that was its name, Exhaust. But Blackheart and Hell has popped up on Earth, and they're going to be going after Johnny. And on top of that, the kind of like the supernatural division of the FBI that sent the girl to kind of go touch base with them. They've met up, touch bases, and they're going to work together. So you have Johnny unofficially working with the FBI's supernatural division, about to go solve some cases. So I'm like, this just like I'm not mad at it. You know, I feel like it just went from being here just to being like one of those throwback comics. You know, they've been doing all those 90s throwback comics. So they're definitely good, but the tone just severely shifted. So I have no clue what's about to happen with this series, but I'm definitely still going to be picking it up.
I think I watched like Taylor Winder's review, and he kind of said like, yeah, I was into this, and then they did this weird thing, and then I thought I was going back to it, and instead it went back to like the thing I liked the least about the series, and he's like, I don't know, I'm out.
Yeah, that 90s Ghost Rider stuff was fire, and that's why I said I'm not like mad at it. Like it's fun. It's just not like they were doing like those first 4 issues were like dude, this is about the slap. And that one shot they did, like the anniversary issue, it was amazing. Like the tones, the style that Percy was doing here was just great. And now it just went weird. Let's see. Check out Ben Percy's Nightwing issues 48 through 50. It's the exact story as the race in Ghost Rider, even pretty much copied the art. It's crazy. I believe that because it definitely felt that campy and that out of pocket. From the most current run of Nightwing, I guess it'd have to be. You know, if,
yeah, because we're 97.
DC,
so.
If someone had DC Ultra, they could definitely do that.
I wouldn't even know if it's the same.
Let's see. I agree 100%. It seems like a cool on the road anthology tone, and then get goofy. Yeah, definitely got goofy. So issue 48.
The issue right before Rick Grayson started.
Oh, so it looks like it's issue 48. Benjamin Piercy. Yeah, the motorcycle right there on the cover.
Wow. Guess you found your reading for the night.
Oh no, I've already read it, like you said. Right there, you got silencer popping up.
Wow, that's crazy.
Holy shit! Bro,
like panel for panel.
No, it's not like panel to panel, but dude, it is. Like,
I love watching your reveal. Like,
hold on, because this isn't even the issue of the race, but you get to see what they're racing toward. Like the end of the race, they're trying to get to this mountain, right? And the first one there gets to ask like a little whatever of the devil. So like, look, this is where they're racing to. You see the mountain? See the horned mountain, okay? So look where these mofos are racing to.
Wow. The double horn mountain.
That
wow.
is insane. This dude sucks extra now.
That's amazing.
In the worst way. Oh my god, they're lying. Dude,
clip this.
Dude, the fucking loop-de-loop is even in here.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Look for the loop-de-loop. It's exact.
Dude.
Oh wow.
This is lazy.
Was it good the first time or?
It wasn't, dude. It was the worst thing that they've done in this Ghost Rider, and it wasn't even like this was just bad for the series. It was bad, like for comic books. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like one of those like weird things that like '90s animated cartoons did a lot. Where it's like, here's this like random ass like side story in the middle of this season because we got to make 150 episodes every season and we don't have any ideas.
What in the hell were they talking? What in the hell? How does this get? That's pathetic.
Yep, in the Nightwing book, they get to ask Mobius Chair a question.
Oh, dude, that's way better than the devil.
It sucked in Nightwing too.
Because it makes no sense. And even seeing all the racers lined up here in Nightwing, like I can imagine, like they probably just all right. So look, you're doing this next level Ghost Rider book where it's like deep rooted in like super horror, like John Carpenter style shit from issue to issue. Then all of a sudden, the next issue, he's like, all right, I'm going to go do this race out of nowhere. And they're like talking about how the asphalt has its own feelings. And he pulls up on a race line and you got like Wolverine next to him out of nowhere, Moon Knight over here, Doctor Doom, Man Thing on a fucking motorcycle. I'm like, no context. They don't even mention like, hey guys, we know like this is weird, and we know all these people are doing other stuff in their own comics, and who cares? Who cares? But they're like this event everyone knows about who wants to go make a deal with the devil. Like you have heroes, villains, vigilantes. Like there's no reason for half of these people to want to go talk to the devil. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Like what, Wolverine's trying to go talk to the devil? Does Moon Knight even believe in this devil? You know what I mean? Like, can he talk to his own gods? Whacked out racism. Paul, you got any other ones for this week?
Yeah, Weird Science has made my evening.
I think that's it.
I did pick up Punisher War Journal. This one's the one shot called Brother. The last one was Blitz. You kind of fill in the gaps between the time that we last saw Frank and where the current run starts, just some of the time with the hand. I haven't had a chance to read this yet. I am excited for it. The main body is fantastic. I absolutely love the story they're doing. And like I said, I do like these retro books. I don't pick up much from Marvel I just have a hard time finding stuff at Marvel I really care for anymore. So when they do like these new series with characters I love, I always try to pick them up, and I typically don't make it very far. Like Cantwell's Iron Man was dog shit. Immortal Hulk was phenomenal. This Ghost Rider started so strong. We're going to see this bad dream. Yeah, Gargoyles is coming, but these retro series they've been doing, they did the Maestro stuff. I call it Maestro. Get over it. They did the Silver Surfer Rebirth, which I loved. Like it just takes me back. And this new Fantastic Four series has been great. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. And when I say it's been great, I mean relative to what it is, if that makes sense. But yeah. And I have this. I read the first two mini stories in it. The DC Terror Through Time. The first one was Phantom Stranger. Super cool story. And nice. The second, first one's Phantom Stranger. The second one is the Super Sons, which was a fun story. The Phantom Stranger one was cool. The artwork on it was fantastic. Paul Levitz wrote it. Go, Paul. But you got Dead Man story in here. You got a Swamp Thing story in here, an Etrigan story in here. I'm pumped to get through it. I just didn't have a lot of time this week. I've been working on it in my free time, trying to get my into the C3 stuff all worked out and put together, and working extra hours to be off for the C3 event and for Black Adam. But yeah, I can't wait.
Cool.
I haven't talked about it also. I do want to remind everybody that starting Friday, October 21st at 7:30 a.m. right here on the channel, we're going to be kicking off Comics Curing Cancer. If you don't know what that is, this is the second annual event where it's a charity fundraiser that we've done here on YouTube. Last year was a 24-hour marathon. This year we're doing it a little differently. We're spreading it out over 3 days. We have a lot of members of the community that already have existing shows during those 3 days. So all of them are going to be tailor-made for the event where we're going to be trying to raise funds. We'll be getting artists on. We'll be doing sales, thank you packages, straight donations. Will get your name put on a giveaway wheel. We're calling it the thank you wheel. That'll be spun on Saturday night. The big auction will be held on Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics. That'll be the final show of the event on the 23rd, starting at 12 noon Eastern time on Rob's Fat Stacks channel. DJ Links on In the Mix that night. We'll have a lot of creators on that have donated stuff or coming on to sell auction off pieces, all kinds of stuff. So definitely check out the description in the video down below. All the information is in there, as well as the link to go ahead and donate. If you were to donate now ahead of time, that's perfectly fine. We are able to track all the donors from the whole time it's up. So come Saturday, if you donate even between now and then, a minimum of $25 donation, get your name on the wheel. And there's all kinds of prizes going on it, from mystery boxes that are considered $50 mystery boxes that have values of at least $100 or better. There's slabs on there, key books, raw books, all kinds of stuff. As just a thank you to people who donated. So yeah, be sure to check out Ryan is back doing content, people. He's back. He's back with a fury.
Here and there, you know. I dabble.
He's
Yeah.
Real quick. Everyone keeps telling me I'm back. So yeah, I think I'm back.
I think I'm back. Yeah. Yeah, I got stuff coming out this week, so just keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, already scheduled.
I already have a schedule. Look at you.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you have going on in Sector 2815? I know it's a long ways away, but we do get that channel here.
Oh, you must have good reception.
Long internet.
Monday morning,
foil.
Monday morning, 10 o'clock will be the next DC Dark Crisis deep dive with Mark and myself. We will be going in even deeper into the Green Arrow Worlds Without a Justice League. So we'll take a look at that. If you can't guess, we already talked about it. We loved it, but come and join us. And we'll be talking more about our giveaway that we have coming up. And then on Wednesday night, the next Guess That Key will be on.
Boom. The funnest game show on YouTube for comic books. You definitely come by, stop by his channel. It's a live show he does periodically. Most of the time when it's rolling, there's a lot of schedule stuff that goes into it, but typically every other week for the most part, where guests come on and you pretty much play a version of 10 questions where we try to guess that key. It's super fun. We laugh a lot. And typically, yes, there is red on it. And as far as the DC deep dive, go check those videos out. The massive giveaway at the end of this, where we're giving away the entire Dark Crisis event from start to finish, all the tie-ins, as well as the Crisis on Infinite Earths. And go hit those videos. Even if you missed them, there's no way we'd expect you to watch those hours and hours of videos to get caught up. But at least go back, hit a thumbs up, and drop a comment on all those videos, because you never know which one will pull the winning name from.
Mm-hmm.
Do want to say thank you to everybody. We need more Pauls. So many Pauls. Yeah, I absolutely love the Maestro stuff. That was done really, really well. Peter David's been doing amazing stuff with those retro books. Absolutely. So did Ron Lynn and Ron Mars with Silver Surfer Rebirth. But I digress. So I appreciate everybody coming in tonight. And be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.